afternoon. Hey, welcome in to Danny and Dusty on this Wednesday afternoon. Back in the cage, not at the Winter Fan Golf Classic, out at X Golf, Vancouver and Tualatin, which was awesome. It was great to see the listeners, see you guys hack the ball around. It's a far different experience than the Fan Golf Classic in the summer.
Yes.
Where we have to roam around and we only see like one hole, and we see you. Really, last year you and I were posted up
at 6
at Langdon at 6, where
it was
we see you at your worst, because that is the clown hole.
That is the clown hole. Yes.
You got the little mound on the short par 3. It gets in your head. Some people had been drinking most of the day. Some people just not good at golf. Even the really good golfers, like you have to put it in the right spot.
It's an imposing hole, because if you miss, it will be horrible.
That's right. But I'm still proud of all of you.
Yeah.
Still proud of all of you.
No,
but then we get to see like more, because in that area at X Golf, you can just kind of look around from simulator to simulator and see how it goes.
And we said the group in front of us that was just a group of sticks.
Yeah, they were.
59.
That's good.
Like, even in a scramble, that's a good score.
That's a really damn good score.
Yeah, you're getting good shots literally every time you're going around.
Yeah, so it's great to see all you guys. I hope everybody had a blast that was out at X Golf Vancouver and Tualatin, because we had a good time as well. That being in the studio does mean we're back on YouTube. YouTube.com/1080am The Fan.
And when we go out places going forward, we will very likely be on the YouTubes.
We're trying to rectify that situation right there, so you can follow us on YouTube.com/1080am The Fan, and you can watch. Did we have a stream up yesterday there, Mr. Rust?
No.
Okay, so we had nothing.
Yeah, for those wondering,
I would have loved it if it was
just
just
bolted
you.
down so the thieves can't take them.
I was just hoping that it would just be a
solo on Jeff Rust
just
the entire time?
Rust's face the whole time. You get to just see
His
how the
t-shirt.
sausage is made back there. Him just rolling his eyes, yelling at us, "Go to break, go to break, go to break," which nobody can hear except for us, but is a common occurrence.
And if you ever just see me just like randomly chuckling, it's because somebody's in my ear saying something, and I'm just ignoring him.
That's right. That's right. That's right. So
if I wanted to get ignored, I'd go home to my wife.
as great. Oh, act like you get ignored there. I mean, we know that, but we get badgered. You get ignored when you want some attention.
Yeah.
You get badgered when you don't. Them's
Leave
the
me
rules of
alone.
marriage. That's what we signed up for, brother. We're all in it together. We're all in it together.
My puppies and my wife both know when I want to just sit in my office.
Yeah.
By myself.
It's just wait till you throw some kids in that mix there, and then all of a sudden you're just like, oh, dear Lord, never stops. Never stops. It is as good as it was to be at X Golf, though. It is great to be back here in the friendly confines of the 1080 The Fan studios. Special thanks before we get this show on the road to X Golf, both Vancouver and Tualatin. An awesome time and an awesome event. The tournaments run as smooth as they possibly can. I didn't hear of any hiccups that we had from the tournament standpoint. Also, Victorico's, the Urban Restaurant Group, Pearl Catering, for providing food for all of our golfers. We were well fed. We were fat and happy. Mm-hmm. It's a great event. Two things we take care of: booze, food, and we did both those things
covered
for the folks. So thank you all for that. That came out in a great time, had by all at the inaugural Fan Winter Golf Classic,
which means get ready for this summer now.
That's right. Number 10.
Where we might have
10th annual.
Might have some cart patrols.
Yeah, boy. P. Harrison, Will Ortner, they were really pushing for it. Let us be cart girls. Mm-hmm. Cart boys.
Cart boys. In skirts and tube tops.
And I don't know if there's a demand for that. Actually, the internet is one hell of a place. Yeah, there probably is there's a demand. There's a demand.
There's always that there for somebody.
Yeah, they're just looking for an additional income stream, They're just like, hey, maybe OnlyFans is in their future.
Just saying, Feet Finder exists.
You never that
it's a thing. I will never not stop being surprised by.
Rex Ryan. Who's now leaning into it and making jokes about it, which is hilarious.
Yeah, that's what you have to do, right?
That's what I love about Rex Ryan. The Ryan brothers are...
Like, let me make this as uncomfortable as possible.
I mean, we can be honest here. and say that their father groomed the O'Doyles.
Oh yes, they are without a doubt the O'Doyles. Doyle rules for any of the young kids out there.
Yeah, but they got past the bully phase and
Mhm.
just started broing out, you
Yeah.
know? And I love everything about Rob and Rex Ryan.
Yes,
So thank you, buddy.
glorious hair in that family.
Rob has great
I mean,
hair.
just
Does
the-
he cut it off?
I haven't seen him lately.
What is Rob Ryan doing?
Probably chilling.
Where is Rob Ryan? I want to say, was he consulting at Colorado last year? Oh, look at, well, hell yeah. He's currently a senior defensive assistant for the Las Vegas Raiders.
Hey,
That is perfect.
yeah,
That is perfect.
he's a silver and black guy for sure.
Yeah. He's done a great job. And then before that, Baltimore Ravens, and then the Washington Redskins. They're living the good life.
Yeah,
That's a good life they got.
yeah.
Yeah. He was a community college coach, one of his early jobs.
That's awesome.
And that
I bet
seems
you that-
very fitting.
yeah.
Like they go the renegade route is exactly the path they want to carve.
I like where that's headed, which is a nice little segue to. Today we'll have legendary tight end coach Ian Carmel in.
Yes, we will. He really does. He has that look about him.
I mean, he 100% looks like a tight end coach. He tweeted that last night, and I was like, "Yeah, that's the most accurate thing I think I've ever seen somebody describe a picture."
Big ups to Blazers Broadcasting for going to the Ian Carmel interview when they did, because it was
I
right.
saw him down there, and I was like, "That is a long hit."
It was the perfect time for it because
as
it
the
was like
DA
right
injury.
after they acknowledged DeAndre Ayton wasn't going to be coming back, and they're like, "All right, filler, let's go, baby. We got the Blazers' #1 comedian
Yeah.
fan."
Yeah, because that interview was going on during live action.
Yeah, and he did a great job. It made it entertaining, and that's
Did-
when
did-
we had Brooke in on Monday. That is exactly kind of what their broadcast is doing really well. Is that when things go sideways,
They're
they
adjusting.
do a really
Yeah.
good job of keeping it palatable and making sure that, albeit 49% fewer people, but the people that are still watching are engaged and entertained during the
Yeah.
game. And that, the kudos to them. It's easier said than done.
It's not
to
an
do
easy
that.
feat. Yeah, no,
And then when
it's
they
not.
do have good games and the team is competitive,
they ride it.
they're really damn good
They ride that wave.
too. So, yeah, that was a hell of a thing. But Ian Carmel will be in studio today. He's got a book.
He's got a
coming
book,
out.
and he's filming his special
Yeah.
here in Portland.
Yeah, which I have so many questions about a special. I really do. I
Like,
have.
what goes into it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like how much do you think about some of the things? Like I was thinking about that this morning of, do you just turn into a ball of stress and anxiety?
I mean,
Leading
are
up to
you
that?
directing it? Are you producing it? Are you getting somebody else to do it? What material goes into
Like
it?
your jokes have got to be funny.
Yeah.
But like
The
I was-
order that you do them in, the crowd, how they react, which is why you
I
go to
actually
places you
have,
know.
but those are the things that comedians, that's in their wheelhouse.
Yeah.
I've got some non-wheelhouse questions for
Oh.
Ian that I want to ask him about,
Nice.
because there's like for example, and we'll just get this one out of the way and then we'll go from there. Room temperature. If it's too hot, you're just up there sweating.
Oh yeah.
If it's too cold, your big Netflix special is going to be you at you're cutting glass with hard nips.
Which
Nobody wants that.
I do.
I mean, we've all watched Friends.
Yeah.
Rachel. I mean, goodness gracious. But at the same time, like, are these things that he's thinking about going in? And I may destroy Ian unintentionally by asking these questions,
Hmm.
but those, like,
Just turn him into a giant ball of anxiety.
yeah, are those the things you
I
think about?
never thought about that.
Because I'm going down this road just going, yeah, this is a big deal. Like anytime you have your own Netflix special, or not even Netflix, YouTube specials now are awesome. The Amazon Prime ones, they're getting some heavy hitters. They got Nate Bargatze, Jim Gaffigan. Like they're going, all right, we'll get in that comedy game
Sure.
too.
Yeah.
And you know what is gone? I've gone back, and it is a trip down memory lane. But on Max,
Mhm.
like you can get Killing 'Em Softly, Dave Chappelle.
Yeah.
You can get the George Carlin and Richard Price, like
7 things you can't say on TV.
the Chris Rock. You can get Raw and Delirious,
Mhm.
I think, on Max. HBO, that used to be like where all of the Kings of Comedy went,
Mhm.
right? And I'm not just talking the original Kings of
No.
Comedy. Steve Harvey, Bernie Mac, Cedric the Entertainer. I'm
D.L.
talking
Hughley.
yeah, DL Hughley. I always forget about DL. I like DL Hughley. But then like Chris Rock, that's where his special was. And I remember watching, like, it was like you had to have HBO and you were glued to it for any of the great comedy specials. They were boxing and comedy.
Yeah, that's where they made their bones.
Yeah.
Now they don't exist anymore.
No. Wait, what?
I mean, HBO doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah, it's just Max
Yeah,
now.
They gave up their name for like the crossover Cinemax name.
Yeah.
You give them their name for
don't want
a bad dog name.
Yeah. Max?
Yeah.
I had a dog named Max. I love Max. I love Max.
How many Maxes do you think are out there?
Come here, little Max. He was a good boy.
It's a lot of. I'm just saying, there's a lot of dogs named
I
Max.
mean, he was no Boomer or Homer or Jack, which were or other dogs.
there you go.
And then we
He's
had
a good boy.
That's
Yeah.
right. That's right. But and that's the sad part about dog ownership. Did you see the Daily Show? Jon Stewart, he did his farewell to his dog.
No.
Oh, I watched that
yeah.
in here yesterday
Yeah,
morning.
you're
I was
gonna
in
cry.
tears.
That's
You're
gonna
gonna
kill me.
cry.
Yeah.
You're gonna cry.
I'm dog guy already.
It's very
gonna
reminiscent
Rip me apart.
to SVP when he did his.
Oh God.
Yeah. I mean, but that's the thing about dogs. You love them so much, and then they die. Like you just go down the list of how many dogs you've had in your life.
Mhm.
Like as an adult, I've had two dogs, and one was in college, Bo Cephas.
Mhm.
He was a good dog.
Great name.
Yeah.
That's a great name.
And then, but you go down the list of dogs. You just have so many of them because they die. They die.
I was lucky in that I had
Man.
2 dogs one for 16, one for 17 years.
Yeah, we had.
Basically, since from the time that I got home out of the military till a
Here's
couple years ago.
here's a little thing. When my parents bought the building that became Helvetia Tavern,
Mhm.
Homer the dog came with it.
Oh, dog came with it.
He was a great
Built-in dog?
Yeah, built-in dog. He was a bar
Nice.
dog, and he was a great dog. So we had Homer, Jack, Janie, Casey, Boomer, Max, Bo, Harry Fitzgerald. 8 dogs in my life, and I haven't had
Bro.
a dog in a long time.
I
We had like 4 at a time though.
Oh,
At one time
okay.
we had 4 dogs.
I was like, what kind of lifespans do these dogs live?
Yeah.
Living, man. I was like, okay, but if you're having multiple at a time, that makes it obviously a lot easier.
yeah, but you go through that list and you're like, you become so damn attached to them, and then they go on you.
Yeah, I've all of mine have just lived for like 15 years.
That's good. That's
Yeah.
a great run.
It's a good thing because I've had to put them all down, and it ruins me for 6 months at a time. So,
Mm.
yeah, I can't do the short lifespans. No, man, hard pass.
Yeah. So don't watch the Jon Stewart thing during the show. Wait till like
'Cause
3 o'clock.
yeah, that'll ruin me.
Yeah, yeah. I mean and for the listeners, you guys could like in a break, you can watch it.
Yeah.
And then come back because Ian Carmel will be in studio at 12:30, and he'll make you laugh.
There you go.
Like we'll get you
bring
right.
bring you right back.
We'll bring you right back.
I like it.
We'll bring you right back. But where we got to start this radio program, I thought you had it last night, bud.
I did too.
I thought you had it. I thought it was going to be Danny's ultimate victory lap. Then DeAndre Ayton got hurt.
Yeah, well.
All right, Blazers lose to Miami. That's where we'll start. They sure flipped the script from what they had on Sunday night. Danny Dusty on the Fan. It's Wrestling Wednesday, too. So get ready, brother. Eat your vitamins. Say your prayers. It's Hulkamania, baby. American. All right, Blazers, they put up a hell of a fight last night for a half.
It wasn't even a fight. They were winning. They were controlling the game.
Yeah, up by 10 at the break, and boy, how quickly it erased when DeAndre Ayton went down with a hand injury. He was a man possessed. And look, this has kind of been the trend that we've been talking about with DeAndre Ayton. When he is on the floor, especially when Ant and Jeremy Grant are there alongside him and they are hitting shots like they were in that first half. And oh boy, how that floor opens up when they are not going, 3 of 32 from 3-point territory, even though they did cool down in that second half. They were 9 of 23 at half, and then one for 9 in the second half?
No, they missed more than that in the second half.
They did?
Yeah.
Because I thought they were hovering right around 50% at halftime.
Yeah,
so
no,
I think they were 9 of 18.
They were shooting really well in the first half.
And then
half,
they just went ice cold.
1 of 12.
Yeah, 1 of 12
Yeah.
in the second half. So they were 9 of 21 in the first half.
And the big part of that was once Ayton was out, the Miami Heat
19.
threw 2 guys at Jeremy and 2 guys at Ant and said, hey, anybody else? And so you had Ant and Jeremy putting up shots over 2 guys because other guys couldn't get anything done, and that's the way that stuff goes. That's what smart teams are doing. I mean, Anthony was the only guy who's getting blitzed more in the league right now than Anthony is Luka Doncic, and that's partly because that Ant can't handle the physicality of 2 guys, pushing up on him that far out. He's still working through that, and the other part is they want the ball out of his hands. They don't want him being the guy that breaks them. And Tumani had a great game last night, probably his best end-to-end game of the season. But, I mean, everybody else, you look at the box scores, man, and they didn't get any help from anyone. It was Ant, Jeremy, D.A., Tumani. That was After that, you're just kind of like, I mean, they tried to give Duop a chance. He starts the second half. The idea was like, hey, let's try to stretch the floor here. And Wap just couldn't hit threes, and defensively, he's just not there. So they go with Jabari instead.
And now we're a couple games into Duop Reith. He's 0 for his last 6 from beyond the arc, and he's my green light. I every time he gets the ball, I say, shoot, just shoot. Duop Reith has that green light in my mind at all times. I'm not going to change that.
No, that's what he's supposed to do.
But it's not falling right now.
No, and Chris Murray's been out there, and he's got some confident stuff with his 3 right now. Defensively, he was really good. Decision making, he was really good. He's got a hitch in his shot right now, a little hitch in his giddy up, and what did he go 0 for 6 from the field last night?
Look, let's get down to what the people want to hear, though. What in the world happened with you and the Miami fans on Twitter and the media that you've been at war with for almost a year now? It's been 9 months.
Yeah, honestly, it was pretty. They couldn't say anything in the first half
because you blocked them all.
No,
oh,
they just couldn't say anything in the first half. They had nothing to go. What are they going to say?
Yeah,
the Heat trade package had 6 points.
Yeah, Tyler Hero was not on the
Tyler
floor.
Hero was a DNP. Jaquez was cheeks. Jovic was non-existent. They finished with 15 points. That was the thing. It was like Tumani Kamara outplayed the Heat trade package. So
he did,
and
that is like the ultimate. Just like let's go. And then you saw DeAndre Ayton also in that first half. It was like things are working out in that regard.
Everything was
long term wins and losses. It's not.
No,
it's not. But
last night
there's other greater issues for this team.
And last night, there a few started to chirp after the game, and I was like, I thought about the Last Dance. The Michael Jordan with the baseball bat and the cigar. It's like I was chirping all night, good, bad, or otherwise. Anybody can chirp while you're ahead. You got 0-0. That's when you got to do it.
It was I was really pulling for you at halftime. I was like, oh God, he's gonna be up all night. Like he'll just pull an all-nighter, just making sure that when everybody wakes up on the East Coast,
it's all there for him.
They're all gonna be there, and you're gonna remind
them. Through the fourth
you're
quarter.
gonna remind them throughout the course of the night. Hey, I just want to circle back to everything I said while you were in bed. Good morning, Miami.
Yeah, I mean, they wouldn't be there for the fourth quarter.
Dang.
You know that. But yeah, the bigger issue or the bigger problem now at hand is how serious is DeAndre Ayton's injury. Because, look, the quote unquote lost season stuff, I don't know how much I lean into that, but you can make a case for it with Shaden's injury, with Ant missing 20 games, with
Brogdon still out.
Brogdon being out, with Time Lord getting hurt. Like, it's just everything that you wanted to see. You haven't. Scoot being out, like you just haven't gotten any consistency.
This is more of a natural tank than even last year was when.
Oh yeah,
Dame,
no, this
Dame
is
went
just
down.
this is just happening. That's what it is. But if DA's injury is relatively serious, I'm not talking like surgery, but like he's out for 3 or 4 weeks. At that point, why not shut down Jeremy? Why not shut down Malk? Why not shut down Ant?
And then
let all the kids just go.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, the reason why you don't do it is because you can't do that anymore because of league rules, but there's legitimate reasoning injury-wise.
Yeah,
why
I mean,
these
Jeremy's
guys
been
would.
dealing with a back. Obviously, Malcolm's dealing with his elbow. I mean, it's not hard to find those. I'm not saying do that right now, but if it comes back, the DA's banged up, is going to be out for any consistent amount of time.
Well, I think then you go to, all right, this now turns into don't come back until you're 100%.
No,
however long that is. If it's 3 to 4 weeks, then maybe it's 5 weeks because you just sit there and you say, make sure you're 100%. We don't want to push anything back. And I think that's what you're going to see is a lot more caution with
Which is what they're doing
forward.
with Scoot. So Chauncey Billups mentioned before the game that Scoot was out, hasn't done on-court stuff yet. They are being violently careful with him because of there's now been 5 surgeries on the adductor groin / injury. There's an outside chance that he does play on this upcoming road trip, probably the last game in Minnesota. They had 2 in Memphis and then 1 in Minnesota. But I would imagine if he doesn't play in Minnesota, he plays when he comes back. Like, it's not like they're being careful, but they're not like he's, it's a little bit of a problem. It's they're just slow playing the living.
That under 28.5 is looking a lot better now.
I told you. Remember, we picked our second half lines. What was it, 7.5 wins in the second half, and I told you under. Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Let's talk some more Blazers.
Indeed,
it ultimately will happen, but he's also got a special that he is filming in his hometown, right here in Portland, and he's also got a book coming out as well. Ian Carmel, the pride of unincorporated Washington County, joins us in studio.
Just couldn't say Beaverton again,
next.
Could you?
No, because we all know what it is unincorporated Washington County in that area. You know, you don't have city police coming. It is the county. It's the Washington County Sheriff's territory over there.
You just don't want to get ganged up by Beaverton once more.
It's a weird little triangle there. Not Hillsborough, not Beaverton, not Portland.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we'll see what he has to say about it.
Yeah, no, it's the city taint right there, where you have a Portland address, but you're definitely not in Portland.
I guess it's fitting that I live there.
Me too. Ian Carmel in studio next. First, Jeff Russ with SportsCenter.
Now, from the Fan Sports Desk, a SportsCenter update on 1080 The Fan.
This update brought to you by Vulcan Design and Construction. Check out their award-winning outdoor living designs or schedule your free design consultation at vulcandc.com. First on The Fan, the Trailblazers hit the road for a 3-game trip starting Friday in Memphis against the Grizzlies. Portland has lost 9 straight and went 0 for February. X-rays on DeAndre Ayton's right hand were negative after missing the second half last night, but head coach Chauncey Billups says there will be further testing. In the NFL, ESPN's Jeremy Fowler reporting the Chiefs releasing wide receiver Marquez Valdez-Scantling, saving $12 million against the cap. Chiefs have also given cornerback L'Jarius Sneed permission to seek a trade. The team may, though, elect to use the franchise tag ahead of Tuesday's deadline and then trade him after that. Jets GM Joe Douglas says the team has given quarterback Zach Wilson permission to seek a trade. The Rams have re-signed wide receiver Demarcus Robinson to a 1-year deal. And on the college hardcourt, a final regular season Pac-12 men's basketball meeting tonight for Oregon and Oregon State. Coverage here on The Fan starts at 7:30, tip at 8 o'clock on FS1. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Jeff Rust at the Fan Sports Desk. Listen live or on demand on the Odyssey app, the Fan's desktop player, or tell your smart speaker to play 1080 The Fan.
The home of prime time with Isaac and Sue. Weekdays 3 to 7, 1080 The Fan.
On Wrestling Wednesday, we are bringing in Ian Carmel, comedian, hometown hero, Blazer fan. And you come into Ravishing Rick Rude, too, so I think that's good.
It's perfect. It's perfect for me. When you got a body like mine, there's no other intro music.
Now, have you guys have you drafted your top wrestlers on All Fantasy Everything?
We have not. That is one of those. There's a few topics we have that are like in this golden cage where we're just waiting for the right guest to come in and do it.
Yeah, that is one that will be must listen.
Yeah.
That will be a huge hit.
You get Dame on for that one and do the wrestlers?
I would love to get Dame on there.
Yeah.
I would love to get a former wrestler on there. It's just I grew up a wrestling fan.
Yeah.
I was a big Razor Ramon guy.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Back in the
Really?
day. Say hello to the bad guy.
You were a heel. You like the heel,
I
huh?
love that dude. I still remember him pulling up the padding next to the ring and doing the Razor's Edge.
Oh, yeah.
Like on the concrete to people. I love that dude. I remember Lex Luger.
Yeah, not Luther.
Not Luther.
Yeah.
Completely different, non-trademark infringing name, Lex Luger. Pulling the body slam on Yokozuna, man. I loved it. And then weirdly, I fell out right before the NWO stuff.
When it just absolutely exploded.
Exploded.
Yeah.
Like I was
the
out,
Attitude Era.
The Attitude Era.
Yeah.
I was out before Stone Cold, but my older brother loved Stone Cold. I got into Star Wars around that era, so I went into a much sadder nerd zone.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I think everybody around our age, though, I think that there's
some tangential thing.
Everybody had an addiction to wrestling at some point.
How could you not?
Yeah.
And I see it now, like with my son who's 7.
Yeah.
It's coming back.
It's come.
Yeah.
He is now starting to get into it, just because inherently boys are dumb and we just want to throw our bodies into things. And you see grown men doing it, and you're like, whoa.
I mean,
I
South
want
Park
that.
nailed it, where it is a soap opera with a football game happening in the middle
Yes.
of it. You know, it's perfect, dude. Weirdly, there's something beautifully American about wrestling. I'm about to go on some weird tangent now, but like even in the way it's offensive, it's also kind of progressive in a way where I'm like, before there were drag queens, you know what I mean, all over Bravo, like in movies and stuff like that. I remember seeing Goldust for the first time.
Dudes wearing makeup.
Dudes wearing makeup, and like Goldust specifically, and just having that normalized for me, and just being like, that's a kind of person that there is out there.
Yeah. No, it makes sense. Like you think about now, it's like it's the ugly side of this is Vince McMahon having to step aside because
Absolutely.
of stuff. But
Yeah.
he was pushing Tori Wilson, who's one of their more stunning wrestlers of all time.
Yeah.
Remember that was the big shock, is when she kissed another woman on TV.
Right.
Like,
Which I'm sure
which
like
she was not thrilled about doing, and she was kind of forced into because of her contract. Like, I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
Like, weirdly progressive, but doing things maybe the wrong way.
in an evil way, progressive in an
Progressively
evil way.
evil?
But when you look at Vince McMahon, somebody who dyes their mustache like that, that's an evil man.
I was going to say,
That's an
like,
evil man thing to do.
quite literally twisting his mustache as he's coming up with these plot lines.
Also, so much HGH.
So,
All the
my
HGH.
God.
So much HGH.
More HGH than man at this point.
Yeah.
His body probably looks like cheap pork. You know what I mean? If you were to slice into him.
Which might be one of the greatest and saddest reasons why, as kids, we only had wrestling like once or twice when we were growing up here, because they mandated steroid testing in the
In the state of
WWF.
Oregon.
WWF was
here.
like, we're not going.
Yeah.
We're just not going to come anymore then.
Exclusively high flyers. You know, it's like Rey Mysterio fights Rey Mysterio's trading partner live at the Memorial Coliseum.
They just said, if we can't have that, we're not even
Well,
going to come.
it actually was that too, because as soon as the band came down for it, woof!
Oh, yeah.
Monday Night Raw, Memorial Coliseum. You're like,
Just wet muscles.
yeah, you're like, oh, okay.
That's
Well-
also when I started doing stand-up, by the way.
Oh, nice.
Was when the steroid
The
ban
steroid
was
ban
lifted.
came
I
down.
was like, finally.
And then you're like, I'm in.
I'm
I can
in.
finally start performing now.
Yeah.
You do have a special coming up, which is a really cool
Yeah.
thing for any comedian to have, but to do it in your hometown, I think that probably means a little bit more for you with what's coming up, March 23rd at Revolution Hall.
March 23rd, Revolution Hall. First show sold out, but we added a second show, and there's still tickets to the second show if you're trying to go. But yeah, I was talking to the label, and we were looking at a bunch of cities. We were thinking about like Nashville or Madison or like New York or LA, Austin, which are all like wonderful cities that I love performing.
Everybody
in.
seems to be going to Nashville to do these. Are the shows just like set up really well there?
I think there's like I mean, they're like from Tennessee and from Nashville, so they're like they're drinking and they're fun and they're crazy. You know what I mean? So
okay,
like,
so the crowd's always on.
I
scene.
think you listed the drunkest cities in America.
Yeah.
That's right,
Madison,
yeah.
Yeah,
Nashville.
Madison definitely in that.
Madison. I mean, I could just name every city in Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Every time you look at that list, it's like Milwaukee, Madison, Eau Claire. Like it's every single city in Wisconsin. But they're also people who go out. They go see live shows. So it's like the kind of place where even if you don't have a big draw there, they're like, we'll go see the comedy show.
Sure.
But for me, like once I started like looking at the material I was doing, I was like, oh, this is all. You know, when I first started conceiving of the special, I was like, let me do a greatest hits because I haven't put out an album or a special in like a decade. And then I started like putting it together and writing more, and I was like, oh, you know what? That's not what I care about right now. Let me just like, I'm writing about getting older and like, and what that feels like, starting to feel like more conservative as I get older, where like the kid, like, I don't know if that's happening to me or if the kids are just going so far left so fast. That I'm like,
Yes.
I got both are happening.
Like,
I got yelled at a dinner party for saying the word unhoused, like yelled at, dressed, or saying the word homeless, like dressed down in front of all these people. She was like, it's unhoused, like just like jumped on me.
And your eyebrow twitched.
My eyebrow twitched. I was like marching in protests. You know what I mean? Like 5-10 years ago, I was like a full-blown communist, and now I'm getting like yelled at a dinner party. I'm like, you're eating feta and like orecchiette pasta too. All right, you're not Che Guevara. You're also here talking about shows that are only on HBO, a more expensive version of cable. So don't get on me. But anyway, so like I was like, this.
Also,
is
it's not conflict-free food that you're eating right now.
Right, exactly. Yeah. A lot of conflict had to happen for you to get this. That almond milk that you're drinking costs like 165 gallons of water. So like, lay off.
Let's chill. For a bit.
Mine is one cow, pumped full of hormones, like a WWE wrestler.
Like a good true American.
Like a good like Lex Luger.
Yes, exactly.
So I was like, oh, I care more about this stuff. I'm gonna abandon the greatest hits. So I haven't done this hour in Portland. It's my favorite place on the planet to do stand-up comedy. I think like we have this reputation nationally for first of all being a burnt-out husk full of Antifa super soldiers. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Pulling hand crochet guns on people.
It would be kind of cool if we did have like Winter Soldier.
It would be amazing if there weren't, just marching around.
Like, you have to play a little game like, do I take that route today?
Yeah.
Like,
I don't want to run into you to the brute squad. Instead, people think like it's dangerous to be here. It's mostly dangerous to merge in traffic. That's like the worst thing that happens in Portland. But this is like my people here aren't as uptight as people think. There's definitely a contingent of people who are like a little bit overly woke to the point that it's annoying. But for the most part, people are smart, down to earth, salt of the earth, like people with good senses of humor. This is the city that raised me. Beaverton is the city where I was unincorporated Washington County.
There we go.
Beaverton, Oregon.
So we had Gulliver in here, and he was getting triple teamed by 3 Beaverton High guys.
Beaverton High guys.
Oh, okay.
I was just sitting over here being like, I'm technically from Hillsboro, where, you guys just took a dump on us, like in everything.
Westview is in Portland, but I grew up with a Beaverton address, so I come by it honestly.
Oh, so you're on the south side.
I'm on the side. I'm loyal to the soil.
There you go.
Somerset Meadows, if we want to get real specific.
Oh, I know exactly where that's at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm in there.
My kids play Somerset West soccer.
That's right. Yeah,
That's
I bet
right.
they get. I bet they win actually pretty handily. If the kids are anything like the ones I grew up with.
Same uniforms as they had back then.
Ah,
It's just
fantastic.
the exact same ones.
Deadly, full of lead and rayon and all those things. But so man, I was like, if I can do this in Portland, I want to do it in Portland. Revolution Hall is where I've performed the last 5 times I've been up here. I love that venue, so it was a no-brainer to me. And also this is the only place where people will pay to come see me do stand-up comedy. Yeah,
That's I feel like that matters.
that's the other part of it. Yeah.
How much thinking outside of I was thinking about this today. How much do you think about it outside of the actual comedy? Like you are a comedian.
Yeah.
So you are you're trying to get your material right
Yeah.
and be up there for an hour, record your best stuff for an hour. How much of the outside stuff do you have to think about?
As a preface to this, he's trying to induce anxiety.
Oh, okay.
No,
Yeah, yeah.
that's not true. I just was, as I was talking this out, I was like, I don't want to turn him into a ball of anxiety over this.
Well, what do you mean exactly? Like people showing up, or like what the stage looks like?
Would you
very
like my list?
specific things. He
Yes,
has a
I do.
list.
Yeah.
Here's my list.
Okay, please.
Do you think about room temperature? Because if it's too hot, you'll start sweating. If it's too cold, you're nipping out.
This is why it's good that I'm doing it at Revolution Hall.
Yeah.
I've performed there so many times. times that I know, and I've been lucky enough to sell it out every time I've done it. I know what that room is like when it's completely full.
Yeah.
They always nail the temperature. My nipples are always on point, and if I am nipping out,
Good.
I know I have like little covers I can put over.
Okay.
The
Pasties.
makeup kit has.
Little
I have
pasties.
makeup. I have pasties. I have artificial nipples if I want to nip out and
okay.
I can't get it up. I've got everything. I'm
Nice.
prepared for every contingent.
Being in Portland, do you have
Yeah.
to be conscious of your shoe game when you are doing a special?
That is something. The outfit is something that I'm still
Still working through?
working through.
because outfit is a big one because like if you watch Raw or Delirious,
Yeah.
Eddie Murphy is in a leather suit.
And it breaks
it
my
is
heart that he
skin
did that already because I want to wear a leather suit, but it's like somebody's gone and done it already.
But you can also pinpoint the exact like month and year that those were filmed based on the type of leather suit he is wearing. And so do you want it to be something where it's like, oh, he definitely made that in 2020.
You could tell the exact moment he wore it by carbon dating the cocaine in,
Yes.
in the leather
Yes.
of his jumpsuit. The shoe game is something I keep in mind, but I'm turning 40 in October. You know what I mean? So it's like I've got a garage full of sneakers that I feel like I can't wear anymore because that are a little too flashy for like a 40-year-old
Yes.
white dude who
Yeah.
looks like the dad from Bob's Burgers. Like I have a limited range of what I can get away with. So
You're
I'm trying-
speaking to a man wearing Crocs right now.
right. Well,
So-
okay, but those are like Crocs are like fashionable now.
Yeah, tell my wife that.
All right, I will get her on the horn. We'll call her up. We'll have a Croc fashion what's the intervention. So I'm trying to find the right pair of New Balance. I'm trying to find the right pair of
The right
dad
pair of
shoes.
550s?
Yeah, 550s that
Yeah.
are flashy enough, but don't make me look like
We're not going
a Croc.
monotone. We're going like earth tones?
We're doing some earth tones,
Okay.
some jewel tones, like a little
Yeah.
pop of color, and then like pants that flatter, and then like a shirt that like doesn't pull too much attention away from my beautiful face.
See, those are the things that I just wonder about because comedians, you guys, like comedy is what you do.
Yeah.
But when you go through like a big special, it's so much more because
There's-
everybody's watching.
Well, you even have to worry about like your outfit compared to what the
background
the
and-
background
yeah.
is,
Yeah.
right? Like so the curtain behind you, if you're wearing a color that looks bad with that, or even worse, blends in with it, then all of a sudden that's something you have to consider. So I'm on like
Floating
calls
head.
right now with the label, with the producers, like.
That's what I was wondering. So you have somebody else producing. You're not
Yeah,
producing it.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. This company called 800 Pound Gorilla, who like they do like Kyle Kinane specials.
Yeah.
They do a lot of like great stand-up comedy specials. So I'm working with them. But you're on calls like, okay, so they have 3 curtain options. So we need to know your outfit, and I don't know my outfit
Mhm.
yet. So I'm here in Portland, sales tax free, trying to figure out what that is.
see?
There
Yeah,
you go.
right now.
You're
but-
getting into the employee store. You're going to the Columbia employee store.
That's
You're
right.
just going to all of them and just getting the lay of the land.
in there
right now.
trying to say like, hey, if you sponsor my outfit, upwards of 60 people will see me wearing this. You know what I
Nice.
mean? Please like get behind me. We can work on a sponsorship opportunity.
I love it. Well, that is March 23rd, where you have 2 shows now.
That's right. Yeah.
And that is the special that is a decade. It's been a decade since you put out an album.
A decade. I put out this one called 9.2 on Pitchfork that I did at Mississippi Studios for like a decade ago. So this is my first one since then. Yeah. I've been in the lab writing late night for too long. I'm ready to get out there and do my own thing now.
Now you're, and then you also have a book coming out.
I do.
And I want to talk to you about that. And Ian Carmel is going to stick in studio with us
Indeed.
for a
Yeah.
little bit longer. Actually, we're going to hold him hostage, and he has no choice.
Yeah, we barred the door.
No, the door. I
Yeah.
see that right now. There's armed guards outside. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
He's going to stick around, hang out with us, because he's our own. He's our own. He's one of us.
Yeah.
And we do need to talk some Blazers
We
with you.
do
too.
need to talk some.
Yes.
I was at the game last night and at the Charlotte one, so I'm ready.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ian Carmel in studio. This is Danny and Dusty on the Fan. Ian Carmel is in studio with us. He has a second show that he's added to his stop here in Portland, March 23rd, Revolution Hall. You can get tickets right there on iancarmel.com, right?
No, not on iancarmel.com. Go
you
to
good.
my Instagram or Twitter or go to Revolution Hall's website,
Perfect.
and it'll link you right to it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
You also have a book coming out.
Yes.
It comes out hardcover.
It's called If I Did It. It's where I speculate on if I was the one who committed the O.J. Simpson murders.
Okay.
So it's just like how I would have done it as a 7-year-old if I was in Los Angeles at the time.
At the time? Boy,
With
that
giant gloves on.
That's right. Yeah. Huge Bruno Mali shoes. Yeah.
they would not have fit in the opposite way. They would have been far too large
Yeah.
for
Well,
your
nobody
hands.
knew I was there, and that's what
Yeah.
made it the perfect
There-
crime.
You just had
There you
Mickey
go.
Mouse hands.
Right.
Instead.
People were
There
like,
you
he's
go.
at Bethany Elementary School right now. How could he have murdered Nicole Brown Simpson? But I did.
You also have, I guess, another book called T-Shirt Swim Club.
My second work. Yeah.
Yeah, your second work that's coming out.
Second foray into the literary world.
That's right. Yeah.
Which is it's a really cool idea because you didn't just do it by yourself.
Yeah.
You wrote a book with your sister.
Yeah, I wrote it with my little sister. So it's called T-Shirt Swim Club, and it's 13 essays about. I'm fat now. I remain fat, but I used to be much fatter. I weighed like 420 pounds at my heaviest, and I was that big for a couple of years. But I was a fat kid. I was a fat teenager, fat young adult, like fat every step of the way. So I wrote 13 essays about that, kind of a memoir in essay form, where I talk about being a fat kid, fat in high school, dating while I was a fat dude. And then also about like losing weight and the reality of that. And then also like maintaining the weight loss and stuff like that. This isn't a weight loss book, but it's more of like my experience as a fat person. My little sister has struggled with her health related to her weight as well. She lost a bunch of weight the same time I did. I dealt with being fat by becoming a stand-up comedian. She became a clinical psychologist, so she's a doctor. And I would write these essays, and then she responds to them. So you get like the funny, and then she comes in after and says like, okay, here's how my brother is absolutely full of it. Here's what like was actually going on. Here's what people go through when like, here's what life is like for fat kids, and here's like some strategies to, help yourself relate to them. So what we kind of wanted to do was like, as a fat guy, the dream was always like, if I could only find a fat doctor, then I would start going to the doctor, right? Because when you're fat and you go to the doctor, you could walk in with a samurai sword sticking out of your torso, and he'd be like, you have to lose weight. I'm like, okay, but what about the sword? He's like, let's do the fat thing first. Like, it doesn't matter. And, then you don't go to the doctor. You're full of shame. You never think about it. You stick your head in the sand so you don't have to deal with the actual health implications. At least that's what I did, until it was like.
You tugged the shirt.
I tugged the shirt, right? Exactly.
We talked about this in Vegas.
Right. I would pull down on the shirt. I would try to make it long enough to cover my belly. And, it waited until it was almost too late. I thought I was having a heart attack. I was standing on the street with 911 dialed into my phone. Where I'm like, if my heart slows down at all, I'm not going to hit it. And I didn't hit it, but I went to the doctor that night. I had a blood pressure that started with 200.
Whoa.
You know what I mean? So, like, I was like, oh, my God. I really walked up to the, cliff's edge here on this one. And I almost waited until it was too late to actually do that. So in this book, we wanted to write, for people who were fat kids, who are fat adults, who have fat people in their lives, or even if you just like want to read a funny memoir. But we wanted to be something that like comes at you with like empathy and understanding, but also humor and intelligence and not like this kind of where it's only body positive, where it's like you're beautiful no matter what. You are beautiful no matter what, but also, and you can be fat when you're healthy, but we wanted to be like, listen, there are health concerns that can be part of this, and we need to be real about that as well. But we need to be real from someone who's gone through it, not some doctor who's had a six-pack since he was rowing at Harvard,
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Right.
When you come into that, and selfishly, I've always wanted to write a book. I'm a terrible writer, but I've always told my wife like at some point in time I want to like have something that I can write about.
Yeah.
And I was like, what was that process for you when you just like I know you write jokes and you write comedy and you write for Corden for what 7 years like you write religiously,
right?
But it is a different thing to write that.
It's an entirely different process. I was lucky because I wrote for the Portland Mercury for a few years, so I was used to like churning out 500-word columns. But then this is like a 100,000-word book. That's kind of different.
Yeah,
right, exactly. They call selling a book. It's like a pie eating contest where the prize is more pie. That's what writing a book is. Where it's like, did you enjoy that? Because that means you just get to do a whole lot more of it. But to be honest, I loved it. I really, really loved it in a way that I didn't think I was going to. But you know, you sit down at a coffee shop and you open your laptop.
Did you do the coffee shop?
I went to a coffee shop.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't write at home because my Xbox is sitting right there. And I'm
That's
like,
that's a fair temptation.
dude, it's so real. I'm like,
I could take a little break 3 hours later.
I could
what
finish.
the hell happened?
I could finish this chapter on how Fat Bastard, made me feel as a little fat kid,
Mhm.
or I could take the Blazers to a championship, with
Yeah.
Scoot as a rookie. Like it's like one or the other thing. So I would have to go to a coffee shop and write, and but you'd sit there and like, luckily there's great books about writing, and Stephen King has this one where he says his rule is he writes 2,000 words a day.
Yeah.
No matter what. He doesn't write a word more, and if he finishes a book 400 words into it, he writes the first 1,600 pages of the next book, right?
Wow.
So that's a little crazy. I didn't quite do that, but I was like, every time I sit down to write, I'm going to try to get to 2,000 words. And you kind of like sketch an outline for yourself. You're like, I know I want this chapter to be about my time in middle school when I had a gym teacher who made me run the vault. I went to middle school,
What?
Meadow Park Middle School, and we had this gym teacher who was this dude like from the 70s, mustache, super fit, like tight t-shirt, tucked into sweatpants.
So you right now.
It's me right now, right? Exactly, but like fit, like really fit. He could probably do like a back handspring like in his 60s.
Oh God.
But he was like this guy who he's like, I'm going to treat all the kids the same, and that includes fat kids, right?
Mm.
In an effort to be like, you know what, that's not an excuse. I believe in you. You're going to do it, right? So we had this like, a vault, like a
Yeah.
gymnastics vault. You run down a runway. There's a springboard, and then you go over this vault. I weighed 320 pounds in middle school. I kept telling him, I don't think I should do this. For me and for you. And he was like, no, that's no excuse. Everybody runs the vault before the class is over. So it kept dragging on and dragging on and dragging on. And every few classes, he was like, you ready, Carmel? I'm like, I'm not doing it. I choose not to run,
Yeah.
And by the end of it was like, at first it was like funny. And then it kind of got embarrassing because he was like all the time. And it made me feel alone and it made me feel isolated.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm the one kid in this class who he keeps picking on to do it.
Mhm.
And eventually he wore me down towards the end of the class. I was like, you know what? Fine, let's do it. I'll do it. And he's like, great. I'm going to stand on the other side. I'm going to help catch you and guide you to the mats. I'm like, oh, okay.
Oh no.
Oh, no, yeah. So this like 160-pound, you know what I mean, like gym teacher is standing there on the other end. All 320 pounds of me comes rumbling down this,
This seems like the scene out of Old School.
Dude, it was like that. Come rumbling down this runway.
Mhm.
I hit the springboard. I am like launched into the air. It feels amazing for like a moment because I'm like flying through the air. I feel like the spruce goose. And I lock eyes midair, I swear to God, with this gym teacher. And it dawns on him for the first time what he has conjured. This thing he has
The
brought
math
upon himself.
principle of mass times velocity
Right,
squared,
which is
has
like-
all of a sudden landed.
All the clapping and the good intentions of the world cannot erase physics. So a 320-pound matzo ball of a missile is like careening towards him, and he can't get out of the way. And I hit him so hard, he goes down like a Guess Who tablet. Like he's on the ground, like flap, like that fast. And the whole class is clapping, and I stand up, and like they're cheering, and I'm cheering. And then he blows his whistle, and he's like, class dismissed. It was amazing.
And he had to
learned his
pack
lesson.
not only himself but his pride up in a way that he probably did not anticipate.
Right, exactly. And I like to imagine he didn't make the fat kids run the vault after that. Like, hopefully, but it was like, that's like a funny story from my middle school, but it's also about
It's also something it has a lot of clarity in your life.
a
Like,
lot of clarity in my
yeah.
life, and it's also sometimes a way that like society treats fat people, which is like we expect that they will bend themselves to the world rather than the world making room for fat people, where it's like, that was on a vault in a gym class, but it's also airplane seats, or it's
I was
like,
going to ask you, do you have an essay on the airplane scene?
there were too many to pick. Like I didn't write an essay about it because there's just like, I mean, I think I mentioned it in a few
Yeah.
different ones, but like, oh my God.
Because that's the one.
That's the one.
Yeah.
That's one of the big ones. I always thought, by the way, like I'm hygienic.
Mhm.
I smell good. Like I'm a better person to have next to you as a fat person than some skinny dude. Because like my entire torso is made out of memory foam. It's like cuddle up.
You just kind of dig in there a little
This
bit.
doesn't have
Yeah.
to be weird.
Yeah.
Take a nap. You know what I mean? Rest your weary
Not a
body.
lot of nerves in there.
No,
Oh.
snuggle in there.
Pretend like
Grab a
nothing's happening.
handful. Yeah, go to bed.
I think it's a great concept for the book too, because you get two different ways of approaching the same thing,
Yeah.
right? With your sister who
Yeah.
gives you the clinical side of it and it goes through it, but also the human aspect of how I think a lot of people address it and think of weight loss.
Yeah.
I think it's a great idea for a book. And
Thank you.
now that I'm finding out it's inspired by Stephen King and I'm assuming,
Yeah.
it's even more. It's even more.
Just the writing process. There are no scary clowns in this book. I guess me. I'm the scary clown in this book. Yeah.
Well, I look forward to it. June is
June 11th it comes out. We're
Okay.
going to have a big release day thing at Powell's on June 8th, so actually before it comes out, but
Nice.
they knew I loved Portland so much that they were like,
They did a special release
we
there.
will let you release it early a few days. And now I already tried to sell you tickets to a show, but if that sounds like a good book for you or for anyone in your life who you'd like to like hand that book to and be like, hey, like, you know, I think this might be something fun for you to read, pre-orders help a lot. And you can go to like, you know, Amazon or Barnes & Noble or any of those, or I would prefer you go to like Powell's or bookshop.org, you know, in order so it goes to like a local bookstore. But if that sounds like something you'd like, there's an audiobook coming out as well that I read, hardcover books that you can get, and pre-orders help a ton, which would be amazing.
Is your sister going to be on the audiobook?
Yes,
or
she is.
Okay, because
No.
I didn't know if you were going to imitate your sister's voice.
Whoa, good point, Ian. Yeah. Yeah.
Do you maybe do your own personal edits to what she said
Yeah,
about
yeah,
you
yeah.
as well?
So what he is actually trying to say here is.
Maybe now I will. I'll be like, I don't know what happened to your session, Elisa. Maybe they canceled it.
Oh yeah, I don't know. Just keep checking your email. They're gonna
Yeah, they're
send
gonna hold you any
date.
minute now.
There you go. You want to talk some Blazers?
I would love to talk
All right.
some Blazers.
Ian Carmel.
You've been
studio.
in game for some, or you've been in town for some fantastic
Some
games.
real corkers.
Yeah. I mean, and you were the human detour last night of the basketball game.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you even knew that you were. They're like, bad news, DeAndre Ayton out. Good news, here's Ian Carmel with
Yeah,
Brook.
God. I'd like, can he go in and take some minutes from Joao Reeve? Like, it turns out, no. I had no idea, because I was in the arena where they're not like, hey, Ayton's not coming back. They don't tell us. So you're like, I hope he has diarrhea. And that's why he hasn't come out yet. Because, like, it all fell apart when he didn't come out.
We'll talk about the Blazers, the future, and how Blazers' #1 comedian fan feels about. Well, you're the #1 celebrity fan at this point.
Unless you can get Katie Lang on the horn, I think it's me.
Ian Carmel in studio next. Danny and Dusty on the Fan. To Danny and Dusty with you on this Wednesday afternoon. Thank you for being a part of our day, letting us be a part of yours. We've got Ian Carmel in studio with us. You were at the last two Blazer games.
Yes, I was. I was at the Charlotte Hornets game, maybe the worst game I've ever seen in my entire life. And
It was
then,
a hard watch.
And then the Miami Heat one, which was a lot more fun, even though we lost that at the end.
How are you feeling about the rebuild? Because we've talked about this quite a bit. There were a lot of fans that I know you saw it on Twitter.
Oh, yeah.
Trade Dame, reset, it's time to rebuild. And those same people are not about that life now that
I
has
know.
come to fruition. How are you feeling about the rebuild?
I was on the if Dame wants to leave, it's time to trade Dame kind of
Yep.
thing, where it's like he gave us so much, and I was like, if he wants to go, happy to see him go. I want us to get the most in return for that package, but given the contract left. But like, this is exactly what I expected. This is what this looks like. You know what I mean? Like,
Yep.
I'm a little bummed out that Shaden Sharp is out for the season. That is a setback, obviously, for how you picture it going. Scoot being hurt intermittently here and there is also a bummer. But I never got worried about Scoot's development. I was like, this is probably what it looks like when you're a point guard. I also
And a 19-year-old point guard?
19-year-old coming out of G League Ignite, which I'm starting to think more and more is maybe the worst place for a player to come out of.
The NBA is they are going to force a restructuring of that because it's just
They need to nuke it. It's like
it's
or
a good
something.
it's a good place, but they can't do what they did this year, which is have like 8 kids.
Yeah.
because they've won 4 games.
And-
So they're going into like small gyms and getting the crap kicked out of them by grown men.
Yeah.
Like, that's not helping anyone.
It's bad. You're
Yeah.
getting the crap kicked out of you, and you're not. It's like AAU on steroids, where you're like, it's a lot of people operating for themselves.
Mhm.
Where like I want these guys to get paid, but now they can get paid going to Duke. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like, go get coached up, learn how to play in a system. Like
Mhm.
so, Scoot, who I think is an amazing dude and going to be an amazing basketball player. Like I just think that was also like a big setback, where it's like we have to grade that man on a curve because he's trying to be a true point guard. Who is coming out of like maybe the worst place for a true point guard to come out of.
It truly is, because of what you were talking about, that it is every man for himself, because they're trying to make their name
Yeah.
to vault up draft boards, and it's just not working out.
No,
It's
you-
just not working
you
out.
need to be with a couple dudes who are pretty sure they're going to be dentists.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just like a couple guys who are going to set screens and shoot threes and stuff like that. Get a periodontist on your wing, you know?
Yeah, and one team also has to have the guy who we all know is going to be the guy at the bar, like 10 years down there, will be like, yeah, I played with him in college.
Absolutely.
I played with him in college.
Who's so flabby that you're like, how did that happen between like now and in those last 10 years? But then
Yeah.
he stands up and he's like 6'6", and you're like, maybe.
Okay, I
Yeah.
could see it. If I squint, I can see it.
That dude
being-
just cooking people at 24-hour fitness, that guy out there playing in Crocs. Yeah.
Are you still as committed, or do you find yourself checking in and out on the season?
If I'm being 100% honest, probably watch fewer games than I did during the Halcyon days.
See, and that's normal.
Yeah.
Like that's the natural progression. You check in, you check out.
Yep. And part of it is being married too, where I'm like, if things are going well, I'm like, my wife will sit down and like, when it was Damian Lillard cooking people, or like close games where it's like, oh, this is really exciting. But when it's us down by 15 to Salt Lake City in the fourth quarter, it's a little harder to be like, this instead of, Shogun or like whatever it is you want to watch. And she's just like, she sits down, opens her laptop, and sighs really heavily. And I'm like, all right, we'll turn off the Blazers.
See,
You're making choices. You're investing in the relationship.
Exactly right. Yeah, I would
like-
rather be married and watch a couple fewer Blazer
Yeah.
games than divorced and seeing all 82.
And
right
that's
now.
the thing is, like,
Yeah.
you look at where they're at right now, and are you at the point yet of like, I can't do this?
No. I'm like, I am completely aware of the reality of what this situation
Yeah.
is going to be. I'm like, yeah, and I'm also happy we kept Brogdon.
Mhm.
I think like that's so much better for Scoot to have like an actual very competent point guard, because like who can take those minutes maybe against the first line starters on the other team, and then Scoot can come in
Mhm.
and not only learn how to play against elite competition, but if he's playing against the team's backup point guard, I think it's good for him to have some dominant moments.
Yeah.
Get a taste of that. And yeah, man, like it's exciting enough for me when it's like Jeremy, Ayton, and Simon's out there cooking people. I'm like, this is cool.
Which you had last night until DA goes down.
Until DA goes down.
Yeah.
So we have like I know people who are maybe a little more diluted are like looking at it like we're going to be Houston next year.
Yeah.
And also now you see Houston kind of tailing off and
Mhm.
like ending up more around play-in 500 basketball team. And it's like, well, that might be asking for a bit much, but at the same time, we do have those pieces there. I wish this draft was better.
Yeah, I mean they're sitting fourth right now. And
Yeah.
Here's the thing: do you feel like there's any pressure right now in the organization? I mean, I'm sure you saw the TV stuff
Yeah.
that popped up. Do you feel like there's any pressure on the organization right now to make not the move, but a move this offseason?
A move being like, go get us a big player.
Like go get a guy, like the next guy, not maybe not the next Dame, but like
yeah.
a guy that you're like, yep, that's a guy you see on this team for the next 5 to 7 years.
I don't think we are. I mean, like, I think the assets we have that would be required to go get that would be like, okay, you have to trade Sharp and Scoot if you want to go get the kind of player we're talking about, or at least one of those dudes in all of our picks.
Mhm.
And if that guy, maybe if whoever that hypothetical player is on like a 5-year contract, you know, but who is that? Is it like, oh, Cleveland has decided that they can't succeed with Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland. Donovan Mitchell re-signed, so like Garland's on the market.
Mhm.
If that's the case, maybe you look at that and you're like, are we getting the next Tyrese Halliburton? Let's grab that dude
Yeah.
and like have him throwing lobs to Ayton and Jeremy Grant, and that looks like a pretty good basketball team. At the same time, I've been a Blazer fan my whole life, and I've been like, this team has always succeeded when we get our best players through the draft.
And from small schools.
And from small schools, yeah. Because like, you know, millionaire 23-year-old black dudes don't want to come live in Portland.
Shockingly.
And I get it, man.
Look,
I
yeah.
completely understand. They're not wrong. It
No.
sucks for us. Like we had CJ McCollum. He loves wine, you know, and that worked out for as long as it could.
Yeah.
That's enough.
One of my
Damian-
favorite conversations with young Blazers is when I build enough trust with them to be like, so what was it really like when you got here? And
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it was
It's got to be so disorienting.
I mean, Scoot comes from Georgia.
yeah, man. We are a long way from Georgia.
That's
The only thing we have in common is like farm-to-table restaurants, and like outside of that, it's like a completely different like
yeah,
environment.
it's a totally different thing. So
Yeah.
it's like,
And strip clubs.
And-
yes,
oh,
that's
that's
true.
actually
Yeah,
a great
and strip
point.
but
clubs.
remember,
Yeah.
he can't go yet.
He can't go right,
legally,
exactly.
you know?
Oh, isn't that crazy?
That's,
Yeah,
that's the
he has to go to Jiggles.
which doesn't exist.
It's a
It's gone.
yeah.
Oh, the jig is gone, dude.
Yeah, they turned that
Oh.
into a Cracker Barrel, and then that
It's a crack-
closed down.
which is
It was
cool.
kind of a Cracker Barrel
Yes.
back in the day too. Yeah.
It's a Cracker Barrel, LA Fitness, and a Cabela's.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Wow. Those are the only 3 things powerful enough to take Jiggles'
Yes.
place. Wow, that's just hit
that
me
$20
like
cover just it wasn't enough to sustain.
that hit me like a brick. I don't know where to get juice now.
right?
where are you gonna get a cranberry juice for $12 now?
I have no idea.
You have no idea.
I assume
well,
it
Whole
was high
Foods.
quality cranberries. You're
Uh,
right,
Whole Foods.
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
I think
yeah.
that's the place that you get it now. All right. We appreciate your time, man. Thank you for carving
course.
out so much for us.
Yeah.
Oh, it's my pleasure. I would hang out all day and talk Blazers. What are you guys talking about next?
Do you want to hang out more?
I'll
do
do
you have
where-
anywhere to go?
I gotta go meet my dad.
It's 1:15 right now.
I got one more segment.
Okay.
You got one more. We
segment.
got one more
Perfect.
segment with Ian.
Yeah.
There is a pro tip though. Your wife knows how passionate you are about the Blazers.
Yes.
Yep. She's not listening.
No.
She's a teacher. She's
No.
in school. What you do is in a season like this, you're like, I'm not gonna watch the Blazer game.
Yeah.
You make it the big
you,
deal.
You
like,
bank it for later.
Hey.
Oh, that's a great idea.
Especially in a game where you see it coming.
Yeah.
Like if
Where you
they're-
see like all the starters are out, you're like,
if,
Yeah,
if
no
the
way.
Blazers are playing, if the Blazers are playing Boston on the second of a back-to-back, and
Right.
you see the writing on the wall, and you go, you know what?
we can watch the highlights.
Let's watch a show. What do you want to do tonight?
Right.
What do you want to watch?
I'm like
And-
Ashton Hagens is starting. I'm
Yeah.
like, you know what? Let's
Yeah.
go see a movie.
yeah,
You're right.
let's go. And you build up those credits for when the Blazers get good, and you go back to being the degenerate basketball fan that we all are.
I'm gonna implement this the second I get back to
Yeah.
LA.
Yeah. It's because I know your wife isn't listening to this right now either.
No.
Yeah. Okay.
no.
We're good. Circle of trust here.
She's in LA. She's only a good times Blazer fan. She grew up in Chicago, so like she was spoiled. She like had the
She had a
Michael
pile of
Jordan
titles.
Bulls growing up. Yeah.
Oh man,
I know.
Gross.
Awful. Probably gonna divorce her.
I'm so jealous of that.
I know, me too.
I am
Wouldn't that
so
be-
Every time I
jealous
look
of
at
that.
all you know is winning. It's,
That's
it's
Well-
not because I'm mad at it, it's because
Like,
I'm jealous of it.
Every June you have to like redo your schedule because there's a parade going
Yeah.
down
Yeah.
Michigan Avenue, and you're like, nah.
Although the Bulls have been woeful,
Oh, they've
other
been
than
so
those
bad.
teams, it's been like other than Michael Jordan.
All right, Ian Carmel continues with us. This is 1080 The Fan.
Somebody's gonna pay.
Ian Carmel continues to join us here. Thank you for your time, man. Really appreciate
My
it.
pleasure. And my apologies to anyone who can't stand me.
Oh,
Yeah.
I never
no,
apologize
this
for
is
that.
no, this is exactly what
Yeah.
exactly what we live with.
Yeah.
You know, this is why we have the Vancouver Ford text line.
That's right.
And it's so people can tell us every day, unabashedly, how they feel about
Tell
us.
me which bridge you'd like to throw me off of. Hashtag Ian Carmel.
You got a nice selection,
Yeah.
right?
Pretty shitty. You throw me off the one to Vancouver. Let me know.
You know, actually, we do have a question for you.
Oh, great.
Well, P1 Rufio says, can we please have Carmel on more often?
Oh, thank you,
You know,
P1 Rufio.
So there we go.
Yeah.
This is a question for Ian. I've been riding the Blazers money line since the losing streak started.
Yeah.
It has to end eventually. Should I keep going or just call the hotline now?
Wow. Winless for the month of February.
First winless month in franchise history.
Yeah. I don't see it getting much better.
Yeah,
I mean, they lost the game to the Hornets.
To the Hornets.
Which,
And now Aiton's going to be out for longer than he probably would have if we were doing well.
yeah, even then, like, he did hurt it last night. Like, it's
Dude,
not,
he
people,
was like-
people were like worried, like, oh, they're tank. I'm like, no, dude.
No.
7-foot man fell very far and landed on wrist underneath him.
You could tell for the rest of the game he was like
he was
not
doing
moving
the,
right.
yeah. He hesitated on his. He still played really well when he came back in.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Maybe
it's-
that's the thing. Maybe we just need to sort of like jab him with a fork every now
just
and
cattle
then.
prod him.
Keep him angry, you know?
I like that.
Uh,
Little Hulk.
I think
yeah,
You
yeah.
know, I'm
yeah.
always angry kind of
Hulk
situation. I like
dynamics,
that.
yeah.
I think if you've been riding the money line on the losing streak, the next game the calendar turns. So then you just take your winnings and you restart the month of March on that money line
Yeah.
losing streak.
Yeah.
That seems like the responsible thing to do there.
Has he been betting against the Blazers?
Yes, he
Oh,
has.
Yeah.
baby,
Yeah,
keep
he
it
has.
rolling.
I-
Keep it rolling.
I had a guy in front of me who put $5,000 on the Heat.
Yeah.
At halftime.
Smart man.
Yeah, and so I was watching them. He's like showing me his phone, like
What was
No,
the,
seriously.
What was the spread at that point?
4.5.
Oh,
So they
easy money,
yeah
baby.
they cashed
yeah.
in.
Wow.
Yeah, they were having a good night.
Did he see the Aiton injury and then go,
Yeah.
or was he?
Yeah.
He did.
Yeah.
That's smart.
Because the Blazers didn't announce anything, and if Wap's just down on the floor, the casinos aren't going to get that line
No,
that fast.
no. So you got in
So,
ahead of time.
He got in. He's a true degenerate.
The
Like, he
Blazers
was-
should float that out when they're trying to move tickets now, where they're like, you're not going to see.
Get the
Scoot
inside the
Henderson.
head of
You're
the
not gonna
lines
see
before
Shannon
Vegas.
Sharpe. But watch which Blazer comes up a little gimpy at
Pay close
halftime.
attention. Coming up
Yeah.
next.
You're going to start traveling with the team now.
Yeah.
Because they're going to be like,
You're the signal flare they put up right before they and
The
Anthony
distraction.
Simons has a knee injury. And now Ian Carmel.
it's actually brilliant. I mean, it is brilliant.
Yeah.
I mean, just like make it entertaining if it's going to go sideways. And you and Brooke did that last
Oh
night.
my God! What? How about Brooke though? Huh?
She's the best.
What a
isn't she?
treasure.
She
Yeah.
was sitting in that chair on Monday.
Yeah.
and-
right over here. That's
Yeah,
right. Yeah.
where you were at. She was in the chair on Monday, and we were talking about what it's like when you go through a season that is tough. And
Yeah.
her and Kevin and Lamar do an incredible job
Oh my God.
of making it entertaining because I can't imagine how difficult that is.
Well, I always say so. Like when I was on the Late Late Show, most of the time we'd have like amazing guests, and I can't believe I'm gonna say they're never gonna find out about this.
Yeah.
You have amazing guests. You know what I mean? It's like
Sometimes you don't.
Tom Hanks is on the
Yeah.
show, and it's easy, right? Like
Yeah.
James could just sit there, lean back in his chair, whatever. We had Brooklyn Beckham on the show, David Beckham's son,
Mm.
who in it like. He's a very sweet guy, but he's like tried to be a photographer.
Mhm.
He has a photography book. It's terrible. There's like a bad picture of an elephant in there that's like not lit at all. He's like
Mm.
like hard to get a good picture of an elephant, but pretty cool though. Like that's what
Sure.
the caption is.
Yeah.
He put that caption in there. He's like, this is a bad picture, but I got to see an elephant. Like,
Huh.
good for you, child of 2 millionaires. But so he's tried to do that. He's tried to be a personal stylist. He like had an advice column. He's like the ultimate nepo baby, right?
Gotcha.
And he's so sweet that everyone keeps like rooting for him. But one of his eras was trying to be a chef.
oh.
So he came on the show to try to do a cooking segment, which is already one of the hardest things you can do in television.
It takes up
Yeah.
so much space and time and
Huge space.
staging it, and it's a nightmare.
Right, there's not a lot of food. You already have to be like you have to be Gordon Ramsay,
Yes.
or Emeril Lagasse. You have to be like good enough at TV that could be your only job, and
Mhm.
also a good enough cook to make sure the food cooks. Brooklyn Beckham was not good enough at either of those things. He just wasn't. He's not great at TV. He's not a good cook, and James Corden was the guy, our host, was like cooking with him. And it was the most impressive thing I've ever seen James do, because he turned that segment into something watchable.
Just pure gold.
Because Brooklyn was giving him negative anything. It was just like sucking the energy out of the room.
Going full energy vampire.
Right. Going full energy vampire. And Corden was like, I felt like I watched Jordan's flu game. Like, I went over to him after the segment, just like clapping, and I took him aside after the show, and I'm like, it's not the carpools with Adele. That's not why you make the big bucks.
No, it's these.
It's this one. It's
Yeah.
this Wednesday in February
Mhm.
where you made watchable television, where you made, chicken salad out of
Yes.
chicken poop, kind of
Mhm.
thing. And that's what Brooke and Kevin and Lamar, to a lesser extent, the Blazers aren't that bad, but like,
No.
I told Brooke this in referencing another comedian here. They were on that absolutely horrid trip,
yeah.
and they're in New York against the Knicks. They're getting
Oh,
slaughtered.
yeah.
And you know TV works. You've got your promos and your throws and your ad reads and everything else. They had one, but instead of like going on time,
Yeah.
it was middle of the action. The Knicks are coming down the floor. Calabro just rips into Bill Burr, February 22nd, the Moda Center. It's just, I bet you that'll be a great show. Like as the Knicks are running down the paint for another dunk, and knowing kind of how TV works.
Yeah.
I'm like, I've got tears running down my face. I'm
That's-
laughing so hard because that's
like,
gold.
Might as well.
Yeah, that's
I'd rather
exactly. He
do
just
it-
threw it up and just like that is going to stick with me forever
Yeah.
because it was just such a perfectly poignant thing
Dude,
in that moment.
Speaking of respecting people like the Blaze, Todd Bosma, the guy,
The best in the
arena,
world
the
at it.
best in the world.
It's not even close.
When I was doing that stuff with the Blazers to introduce Doug Fur, the new
Mhm.
mascot, right? So we shot these sketches, and then the last reveal was like a live in-arena thing.
Yeah.
And I forget who the Blazers were playing, but we were up 14. This was last season. Dame was still on the team. And so like at the beginning of the game, they're like, first time out of the third quarter, that's when you go out.
Mhm.
And that's your spot, no matter what. And you hope it's after the Blazers just go on a big run.
They're up 20.
They're
yeah.
up 20. The other team calls a timeout. The arena's jacked. People are stoked. But instead, we blew a 12-point lead. We were down 2. Dame got teched up. Timeout. Whole arena's booing the refs, and they're like, go. So I had to walk out there and do this skit
Da-da-da-da-da!
to introduce the Doug Fur mascot, who I think people have warmed to now. But at the time,
By the time,
people were
no.
like, no.
Yeah.
No, thank you. You're taking away Dame and giving us Bigfoot? Like, no, absolutely not. So I was out there, like, trying to make this thing work while people are, like, raining down booze. Not on us, but not on us.
Yeah,
You know?
no, yeah.
And you're, like, trying to make
Tangential booze.
tangential booze.
But there may have been a couple who were like, no,
No, yeah.
Blaze for life.
Get both of these guys. Bring me Bill Burr and Blaze. Yeah. And so, like, you have to do it then. And, like, in that moment, I already respected what Todd and the Game Ops team does already. But, like, in that moment, I was like, oh, so you got to get your stuff off no matter what's going
Mhm.
on.
You got
That's his
benchmarks to
reality.
hit. And the thing is, I League Pass.
Yeah.
I've tweeted this out because I've seen every team.
Yeah.
He's better than all of them. But it's
Way better.
not even close.
He's
Like,
not corny. A lot of them are, like, corny.
oh, all right, let's
Yeah.
go, guys. Like it's fake energy and
Yeah.
it's just so it's tacky.
He's just a regular. He's
Wait.
just a real dude.
And he's been
who's good
doing
at
it for
his job.
25 years.
And then one of my favorites is when you get the tic-tac-toe and you just hear, oh no.
Oh no.
Oh no! Like there's
Yeah.
there's the oh no, and it happens once a month.
yeah.
Once a month,
Yeah.
you'll get that with the tic tac toe, and it's okay. But that's being real
Yeah.
about it instead of we got a big game
Yeah.
here.
Oh,
you
close. We'll see.
you
Yeah.
blew it.
Yo, one of the great Blazer highlights of the last decade is that tic-tac-toe
Is the
game.
tic-tac-toe meltdown.
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Which truly transcendent stuff.
I just
Yeah.
can't wait till we finally get the half court heave make.
Casey Holdahl
Somebody's
has made his
gonna win a
personal
Toyota.
mission. He is
It's coming.
because he's just like, why? Why is nobody ever close?
Yeah.
For reference, Casey hit. There's video evidence of him on the road. First shot, underhand.
We got to
Half
get him
court,
out there.
cash.
Conflicts be damned.
Like, and he will get his phone out and film it every single time, just so he has got, in case
When
the
it
evidence
happens.
when it happens.
Well, let's hope it doesn't happen after the Blazers give up a 12-point lead, because nobody will be cheering.
They'll be walking out, looking away, like, nah, whatever.
They'll be sign him. Get the guy on the team.
Maybe that's the new halftime trick. If they do blow the lead, it's you get to pick any Blazer, just come out during that timeout,
Yeah.
and they get to shoot it for you.
Have them do it.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
that
have
should be
them-
what it is. Yeah.
Have them shoot it for you.
Come on, like Landmark or whoever's like putting these Fords up.
It's Toyota.
Toyota.
But it's
Yeah.
General Toyota. Northwest Toyota dealers.
Oh, all of the Toyota dealers going in
Yeah.
on it? Does Damian Lillard still own that dealership?
He does.
He's out in McMinnville.
McMinnville.
Out in
Yeah.
McMinnville.
Yeah.
He should put a car up. Come on,
I mean,
soften the blow.
they probably don't want that right now.
Yeah, that might be good
Every
for you.
game.
When the Bucks come to town, the Damian Lillard Toyota, and that would be the one that they make. Is like,
Yeah.
oh,
Your
boy.
ex-wife is doing great. Here's her sending you a pity car.
All I got in the divorce was a new car.
Oh, man.
Tough. Well, hey, thank you, man. We really appreciate you for popping in.
Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, you
This was
kidding me
great.
every single time. March 23rd, Rev Hall, second show, still
Second
has
show.
tickets.
Yeah.
I just tweeted out a link to your book.
Thank you very
for
much.
Penguin book is the
Penguin Random House is the
is
publisher.
the publisher. So I tweeted
Yeah.
the link to them. So
Perfect.
that has the link to all the various stores, and you can click on Pals or whatever
Any old way you
method
wanna
you
go.
want. That way, I was ambivalent in where they went, and I could
If-
not direct them.
If you don't want to read the book, it's an excellent place to hide a weapon or a flask of alcohol. Like
True.
there's any number of things you could do with it.
Hollow
yeah.
it out.
Doorstop,
Yeah.
hollow it out, throw it at someone, get it as a gift, passive aggressive gift.
Ooh, oh,
Yeah.
Hey,
Yeah.
there we go.
Yeah.
Passive aggressive gift giving.
Sure.
It's a holiday
I
tradition.
like that.
Anything you want to do with it. It doesn't have to be for me. Make it a spite thing.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Well, I do. I'm just letting you know right now. I'm going to do to you what I did to Ben Golliver, which is I will buy a copy and force you to sign it. At
I
some
will
point.
happily sign it. Yeah.
Perfect. There we
I've
go.
already got mine pre-ordered.
Well, thank you very much.
There we
Come
go.
on
Ian, thanks, man. We appreciate you. The pride of Beaverton,
Attaboy.
I am from Beaverton.
but went to high
Proper.
school in unincorporated Washington
Yeah.
County.
That's right. Yeah.
Okay, there we go.
We won't fault him.
I
for
was
that.
too
In-
big for one suburb to contain.
There was, there was, there was a all fantasy everything, and
Yes.
you mentioned Westview High School at the exact moment I drove by Westview High School,
Yeah.
and it was one of those things where I got excited, and I don't know why, but the people in the car next to me probably thought I was a lunatic because I'm just like,
Like,
it's right,
"Oh!"
it's right there, it's right there.
In the next episode,
That was for a audience of one, and you nailed it.
I do it for you.
You nailed that.
Next episode, I'm going to mention a duffel bag full of small unmarked bills,
Yeah, and
so you can drive by that. At the
It's
exact
like, that
right
is
moment.
perfect.
That's for me.
that is perfect. I was
Yeah.
listening like a month ago, and you mentioned the Rock Creek Corner too, and I was like, I've been drunk there.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
which
Lots of
is
times.
now the mad. It's a Mad Greek Deli now.
good for them.
Yeah.
the Mad Greek back where it should have been this entire
Just
time.
kitty corner to where it was previously.
The old one fell in a swamp. I think. I think
It
that's what
literally did.
happened.
Literally, the roof caved in, and it just became part of Bethany Lake.
My entire Westview Hall of Fame induction speech was saying it should really be the Mad Greek guys up here accepting this award because that's the real. Those are the originators of not JoJo's. They said no JoJo's steak
JoJo's.
fries. Yeah.
Yeah, not JoJo's. Greek fries.
Greek fries. Greek fries.
And
yeah.
You are a Westview Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
How many people are? Is it like you and Kara Braxton?
Kara's
and-
not even in yet.
What?
So it's the
What?
original
See,
principal.
Neither Kim or Kara are in there?
Neither of the Braxtons. It's Len Case, the original principal. Trevor Crow,
Oh, baseball.
Yeah,
yeah, he was
Major
an
League
all-star.
Baseball player. And then some coach, I forget who, forgive me. And then my class, this is only the second class they've done. It's me, it's Garrett Jackson, is that his name?
Yeah, basketball player.
By,
He lives
assistant
across the
coach.
street from me.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
look at
he's
you.
in now too, assistant coach on the Houston Rockets. And then a swimming coach who won 4 state titles after I was gone or something like that. So the Braxtons, they get them next time, get them in there
Wow.
at the same time. I thought they would have
That's
been
a-
the first
Yeah,
class.
like
Yeah.
that was because
That's
they
a
were,
feather in your cap right
Yeah.
there.
That's right.
I'm still
Yeah.
angling for that Beaverton High one. But
That's a harder list to get on.
it's a tough list, dude.
Westview, the fact that I've got in so early is really an indictment of Westview more than anything.
We have Ari Shapiro and Ben Golliver.
Yeah.
Like,
Westview, it's a young
then
school.
me.
What's that about Westview?
It's a young school.
It's a
Yeah,
young school.
it's a young
Yeah, mine's been
school.
around for 100 years.
Yeah.
120 now.
Who else? So Ari Shapiro,
Ben Golliver, Ben Crane,
Ben Crane, Shoshana Bean.
Oh yeah,
Mike Byrne, the drummer for the Pumpkins.
That's
Like,
right.
It's
it's a
Mac
longer list.
Wilkins, Olympic gold medalist.
You'll
Like,
get in there.
I won't, but it's
You'll-
okay.
You're gonna win an Olympic medal. You know,
In radio?
in radio.
okay.
Yeah.
Should have gone to a school with lower standards.
Yeah.
You know?
Inline skating.
where
I
it
think you
starts.
got it.
I should have just gone to the younger school. Should have gone to Southridge.
Are you on the Wikipedia?
No.
Okay.
No,
the
there's-
other way to
no.
do that
There's
is
like-
you could do something infamous. Like on Westview's Wikipedia, it's me and also that Muhammad guy who tried to blow up Pioneer Square.
Oh, that's
Wow.
right.
So we're
Yeah.
both on there. There's two ways to
Also,
do
it's
it.
Wikipedia. I could just
Jeez.
do it myself.
Actually, I add yourself right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like alphabetically, like K and M, you're not that far away.
No,
like
we're
there's
right next to
probably
each other.
nobody in between you two on that
No.
list.
Much like there weren't on that cold morning we were planning it. No. I'm
Hey,
Serial killer bomber. There you go.
you said infamous, and I think all of our listeners are sitting there like, Danny's admitted to several crimes.
Yeah,
on
that's
this show.
true. Yeah.
he has done that, so it's not that far off.
If not the Hall of Fame, you could make Beaverton High's Rogues Gallery.
There you go. There you
Yeah,
go.
yeah.
A little piece here or there.
Yeah.
All right, so you can follow Ian across socials at Ian Carmel.
That's right,
You-
yeah.
You, have the handles on everything. So March 23rd, Rev Hall, tickets still available. Get his book, T-shirt, Swim Club. Like I said, I posted all the links there. When we come back, we have our worst day on the web, and it's a story that I don't even know, man. It's just that's where we'll go.
Wow.
But first, here's the Big Guna Sports Center update.
That's that Hawaiian burger joint.
Now, from the Fan Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
This update brought to you by Vulcan Design and Construction. Check out their award-winning outdoor living designs or schedule your free design consultation at vulcandc.com. First on the Fan, the Trailblazers hit the road for a 3-game trip starting Friday in Memphis against the Grizzlies. Portland has lost 9 straight and went 0 for February. X-rays on DeAndre Ayton's right hand were negative after missing the second half last night, but head coach Chauncey Billups says there will be further testing. ESPN's Jeremy Fowler reports the Chiefs releasing wide receiver Marquez Valdez-Scantling, saving $12 million against the salary cap. In other Chiefs news, they've given cornerback L'Jarius Sneed permission to seek a trade. The team also may elect to use the franchise tag ahead of Tuesday's deadline and trade him after that. Jets GM Joe Douglas says the team has given quarterback Zach Wilson permission to seek a trade. And one final regular season Pac-12 men's basketball meeting tonight for Oregon and Oregon State. Coverage here on The Fan starts at 7:30. Tip at 8 o'clock on FS1. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Jeff Rust at the Fan Sports Desk. Listen live or on demand on the Odyssey app, the Fan's desktop player, or tell your smart speaker to play 1080 The Fan.
Tired of getting dinged by subscriptions? We won't send you a bill. Portland's sports leader, 1080 The Fan. web. With Danny and Dusty on Odyssey and 1080 The Fan.
Man, that sucks.
I don't even know where to go with this story. I saw it and I was like, that can't be real. There's no way that can be real. That's a mad lib of stupidity. Turns out it's real. A woman in Ireland lost more than $800,000 in an injury lawsuit stemming from a car crash after photos showed her launching a Christmas tree during a post-holiday competition.
Okay. So many questions. Do we have the answers to why was she on disability?
So, 36-year-old Camilla Grabska sued an insurance agency.
Which, wait, hold on. Camilla Grabska sounds like a name of a person that can throw a Christmas tree a long way.
Yeah, very, very much.
I mean, that is
Her
like
name might as well be Camilla Throska.
she is like a Polish shot putter.
Yeah.
Camilla
And
Grabska.
she's a sturdy blonde woman.
That okay. Everything's tracking so
yeah,
far.
But she
Okay.
sued an insurance agency in the country, RSA Insurance, after a 2017 car crash she claimed caused her debilitating neck and back pain that prevented her from holding down a job for 5 years.
Well, we lift with the legs, so
Mhm.
I mean, and we don't know how damaged she was after that. Like, as somebody who has a bad back, there are days where I feel okay, and I could throw a Christmas tree if I wanted to, or if that was my thing.
And we're not talking like a little tiny Christmas tree. We're talking full size 8 foot.
We're going 8 foot. There's a big tree.
I mean,
Oh, that is a big tree.
and she's not
Yeah.
she's not a large woman.
No, she got good extension on that.
Right?
Good form throwing.
You can tell that the legs are being used.
Yeah. See.
Good follow through.
But if you have a back injury, I'm looking at her like bent like a
Pretzel.
bow and arrow right there. I don't think that
A lot
she
of arch
is-
in the back.
Yeah, she doesn't have a lot to stand on here with the insurance claim. How did the insurance company find out?
The photos. Somehow, some way, the photos leaked and got out, and they got hold of the insurance company, or the insurance company got a hold of them.
So there was some claims adjuster who was just sitting there and was like, "Hey, I know her. What are the odds that
Mhm.
I didn't even know Christmas tree throwing competitions were a thing, let alone think of how like the planets need to align for her to be one entered into this Christmas tree throwing competition, two dominate the competition, three somebody at that insurance company had to have known who that woman was and was like, "Ha ha."
I bet
I
you it's a
gotcha.
small town. I mean, Ireland's not a large country, not a large country. So she gets this case. It probably is relatively high profile. And it says news reports, however, soon surfaced of Grabska competing in a Christmas tree throwing event on January 2018, nearly a year after the accident supposedly left her with disabling pain. The Irish High Court reviewed a photo of Grabska launching a tree, which the judge, Carmel Stewart, described as a very graphic picture.
What?
She's not nude.
That's a graphic picture of her
Maybe
throwing a
maybe
tree?
it paints a maybe that's the Irish version of painting a clear picture.
Yeah.
A little euphemism there.
Yeah, this is definitely not injured
It's
anymore.
it's a judge saying they caught you in 4K.
$800,000 in insurance. I don't know, claims
Fraud.
that she got. Well, fraud. Yeah, she got to pay that back. She got to pay all of it back.
She's just not. No, she didn't get it.
oh,
So she lost what she was going to when they sued. and-
she's just dumb.
Yeah.
I mean, this is just sheer stupidity.
Keep the neck brace on, dummy.
Now, I thought that she'd already won this case,
No.
had already been getting the money on disability. See, now this makes more sense because obviously somebody at that insurance company or the law firm representing the insurance company was like, you know what, let's do a quick Google search of Camilla Grabska here.
Mhm.
And then they're like, oh, she's throwing Christmas trees? Yeah, she's fine. She's definitely fine. I think what she has claims of, though, maybe she can go, yeah, it's not necessarily the back or the neck anymore, but I'm a loose cannon now after this wreck. And maybe it's a little bit between the ears. Like, look at me. I have these fits of rage where I could throw a Christmas tree
A mile.
a mile. And I have photos to back it up.
Hmm.
I shouldn't be able to do this right now.
Oh.
Maybe I should lawyer up for her appeal.
I like where you're going here.
Yeah.
Dusty the dirty lawyer.
Yeah, I would ambulance chase. If I was a lawyer, that'd be my path.
Just throwing the fake siren on the top of the car.
Yeah, Better Call Saul esque.
I like that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a good racket.
I don't think it is.
No?
I don't think they all. Every time I see, like on TV shows and movies and stuff, because that's my frame of reference here, they're not living the good life.
I feel like
You want to be in white collar crime. I believe that's where you want. If you're a good lawyer, that's what you're doing.
Well, I
and I
mean,
think what I'm saying, I would not be a good lawyer. That's why I would be ambulance
If you
chasing.
get the one hospital one,
Yeah, and then you win that.
yeah,
Make a name
You
for
know that?
yourself. Yeah, or Better Call Saul, you fall face first into a drug lord.
which hospitals could also be there.
Yeah, it's
saying.
not that far off.
They're
It's-
tangential.
That's not that far
There's
off.
a link there somewhere. I
The
think we'll
Venn
find it.
diagram, they overlap.
Oh, speaking of overlapping, the overlapping theme of college basketball this season, my goodness,
Wild.
it is top 10 teams falling on their face and fireworks just happening every single night in college basketball. We'll get to that and more coming up here on Danny and Dusty, 1080 The Fan. for every top 10 team in college basketball.
We have teams falling left and right in college hoops, and last night we had another night of upsets and another night of just unhinged drunk basketball. This time you had Kansas losing at home to BYU.
That's Isaac Romps, Kansas Jayhawks, falling to Jason Sukanik's BYU Cougars.
The number 7 team in the country blows a 35-29 lead to fall 76-68. They gave 47 points in the second half. Holy smokes.
It's a lot of points.
And doing it to BYU is the Big 12. If you haven't checked out what the Big 12 is doing net ratings wise, they are absolutely crushing it. Because Brett Yormark, their commissioner, he went down the road of we will be a basketball power.
Mhm.
If we're not going to be the SEC or the Big 10 in football, we are going to be a
What
basketball
was the next best
power.
thing?
Think of where they are at as far as their basketball programs. Right now, Houston is number 1 team in the country,
Mhm.
net rating wise. Iowa State is number 8. BYU is number 10. Okay? These aren't your household names. But then if you look at what they're doing as far as the rest of their conference and the net ratings, which is what they use for seeding in the tournament for basically every level, what their 1 through 16 seeding and mainly the at-larges. They've got 1, 8, 10, 14, 17, 33, 38, 40, 42, 45.
And they're adding Arizona next year.
That is absolutely insane. You look at quad 1 wins, which are what are regarded as the highest. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 teams have at least 5 quad 1 wins, which is your shoe-in for you're getting a bid to the
You're
tournament.
going to bid, yeah.
But when you have teams like BYU going and stunning Kansas at home in Fog Allen, all of a sudden you're going, oh boy. They manipulated their non-conference to the point where they were all bolstered there. And now in conference, they may not have the top dog outside of Houston. Really damn good team.
Yes.
At 25-3. There's so much parity across college basketball. What they did in the non-conference that's a credit to Brett Yormark in their non-conference scheduling and having a conference kind of all go out and make sure you have quad 2, quad 3, and quad 4 wins on the bottom half of your conference. But then bolstering it with your top end teams, won big games early in the season too. Like the Big 12 is going to be a basketball problem moving forward.
Yeah, and one of those teams, Texas, that's leaving, played Texas Tech last night, and you yourself, Dusty, have been privy to the wonders of the Texas Tech crowd and wadded up wet tortillas.
This made my night last night watching all of this unfold. If you didn't see it, Texas Tech hosting University of Texas, and there's bad blood there. We obviously know
always.
When Yormark went in front of the Booster Club before the football season started and said, hey, go beat Texas on Thanksgiving weekend and do us all a favor for the Big 12 because they were leaving the conference. Texas absolutely smashed Texas Tech in that game. But they have bad blood between those two schools because Texas Tech is like, they're the ones out in Lubbock that everybody kind of makes fun of. And redheaded stepchild, right?
Yeah.
And Texas is the big shiny toy. So there's already even more bad blood at a school that, my goodness, it is wild.
It's part of their identity.
When you go to Lubbock, Texas. So as the game was winding down, you had Brock Cunningham from Texas, a loose ball towards the sideline. And Brock Cunningham did like the perfect form rugby tackle.
Oh, he absolutely obliterated a guy into the scoreboard.
He was trying to go for the ball. The Texas Tech player was running up the sideline tracking the ball.
Good 45-degree angle. We
And-
really love the angles we take here.
Yeah, the Cunningham comes at an angle, not making there's no way you're making a play on that
It's
ball.
not a path for the ball. It's a path to the split
No.
the Texas Tech player down the middle.
And he chopped him in half.
Yes.
And the crowd just boos were raining down. Cunningham played into it because of the rivalry.
Yep.
He was amping them up.
He gets tossed.
They go and they do a review, and as the review is happening to see if it was a flagrant 2,
Everything is thrown on the floor.
you have water bottles are being thrown on the floor. It is turning into just this scene because Cunningham is instigating
Stoking
them
it.
one part, and then part 2 is it's Texas Tech.
It's
This is what
drunk,
they do.
drunk Texas Tech fans in Lubbock.
Which let Grant McCaslin, who's the head coach at Texas Tech, he grabbed the mic in the stadium.
Hey, right here, everybody listen. Everything that gets thrown on the floor, we're going to get a technical foul. Listen to me. It's got to stop. It's got to stop. Nothing else on the floor. Am I clear?
Okay. The best part about this, for me personally, is that when Oregon went down in September to play Texas Tech, it was the first home game of the year for the Red Raiders. So McCaslin, who's the new basketball coach, it's his first year, he is ringing the bell. You know, we all know the gif of what it looks like the bell ringer is doing. We've all seen it. But he's ringing the bell before kickoff. And I'm walking through the end zone right after he gets done, and our paths are crossing. And he casually just like leans into me, and he goes, "Hey, I hope you lose. I hope you guys lose." And I was like, what is going on here? Is this the head basketball coach just randomly? And it was just like,
Just chirping.
It was hilarious.
Yeah.
And it was, I mean, it wasn't
It was
like
good-natured.
malicious by
It was
by
good-natured
any means,
chirping.
but it kind of like set the tone of what am I getting myself into here? So after that happens, for the next 2 hours, I get tortillas thrown at me from the Texas Tech student section. But I'm now finding out water bottle throwing is a thing by them because near the end of the game, there were water bottles being thrown at the Oregon bench too. Like, I mean, they were lobbing those Dasani water bottles.
Not the empty ones.
No, that's a thing they do.
Yeah.
And it happened last night in the game. I'm like, hey, I know this.
I've seen this before. I'm
Wait-
in danger.
It is Texas Tech, their environment is wild. And 10 out of 10 would recommend.
Yeah.
it was a cool experience.
Don't be on
like,
the floor. Be in the crowd.
Yeah, being in the crowd. But they are just, it is a wild bunch that goes to, well, one, lives in Lubbock, Texas, and two, goes to those games.
Love Lubbock.
And I don't know, I wouldn't go that far for my
Look,
love.
I used to drive out there when I was at San Angelo, Goodfellow. And it was a fun little time.
They go hard in the paint,
Yeah.
though, and they are ruthless. Their fans are ruthless. And I said that when I
When you
got
got
back
back.
from that trip.
Yeah.
I was like, man, that was a trip, man. That was an
it was a thing.
experience. And apparently it's not just tortillas. Water bottles are their thing of choice. So they got teed up. Flagrant 2 on Cunningham. And then Texas Tech
Crowd technical.
got a tee
Oh.
for throwing all of the water bottles on
How
the floor.
dare you?
Oh man, but I'm and that's going to be like their rallying cry. Like if we're not going to be a Texas, we are going to be like, you know, that cousin that comes over on Thanksgiving. He's like,
And
"Yeah, just
ruins the
got out of
party."
jail."
Yeah.
You know, YOLO, let's go. Where's the highlight?
I like it. I like where things are going here.
It was a crazy night though too because half court shots were at a premium last night. You see the end of the Nevada Colorado State game?
Yes, saw the highlights.
That dude is what's his name? Jordan something. Jordan Lucas.
That sounds right.
He hits a half court shot, and it was the second best half court shot of the night because Max Strus and what he did.
Absolutely canned it from 60 feet.
The Mavs and Cavs finish was wild.
Bonkers.
That was a crazy finish to the game. Mavs get a bucket, they go up by 2. As time is expiring, Max Strus just lines up from 59 feet out and just drills it. And then after the game says, "Hey, yeah, I'm just glad Donovan wasn't playing because if Don was in, he would have taken that shot, not me."
Kind of a funny story. Last night I was talking with somebody, and DeLon Wright walked up as we were watching the final possession live on a cell phone. And it's always cool to watch a guy who's been in the league for 10 years. He sees it happen. He goes, "We all did the same thing." Oh! But it was kind of a cool little moment of like, everyone is a fan of those insane moments. Well, unless you're the Dallas Mavericks, which they show Markieff Morris kind of going, on the bench.
You do everything to win a game, then
Yeah.
whoops.
Especially when you get the last second shot to go down that you think is already the game winner.
Speaking of long shots, did you see the video that Iowa basketball put out of Caitlin Clark's teammates trying to shoot where she made her record-setting shot from?
No.
Yeah, it didn't. It was not.
Didn't go well.
It was not good
Yeah.
because they actually. I think this is really cool. On the basketball floor, they put a sticker of 22 from where she shot from.
That's cool.
And it says Clark 22, and so her teammates were trying to shoot from where she did. Did not go well.
They should make a permanent mark on the floor, I think, for that.
Well, yeah, I mean that's what they're gonna
Yeah.
do, but they
temporary,
put
yeah.
that right there, just sticker right on there. She just pulled up, drilled it.
It-
Like I mean,
for
it was
first
like
8 points of the game.
no, in the video
Oh,
that
that's
they
right, yeah.
posted just now, she went in like her teammates missed, wasn't even close.
And then she just
just
walked
goes
into it.
whoop, boom, buckets.
It's like watching Dame when he does it.
Bucket
It's
getter.
those guys are they're different. They're just different people.
It's Gerard Clark. Gerard Lucas, not Gerard Clark. Gerard Lucas is the guy who hit the shot for Nevada. Thank you, Tex Police. Appreciate you.
Shout out to them. They probably went there. There's always that.
No, he played for Oregon State before Nevada.
There you go.
Yeah.
There we go. All right, coming up next, the NFLPA report is out, and it turns out winning a Super Bowl doesn't mean you're a great owner. Coming up next here on Danny and Dusty, 1080 The Fan. on a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful Wednesday. Made more wonderful by Ian Carmel joining us in the first hour and a half of the show.
Yeah, it was great. He was here from 12:30 to 1:30. We had a good conversation with
It's been a good 3 days for old Danny and Dusty.
Carmel. Yeah,
Brooke Olzendam on Monday, X Golf on location yesterday, Ian Carmel today.
let's go.
I like
the
it.
whole hour of Ian Carmel already up on the website too
Hey.
for podcast.
There you go.
I mean, start listening to it at 2:55:20.
Yes, wait until after the show, but
Yeah.
it's
Well, I
there.
mean,
It'll be
that
there
is-
waiting for you.
That's when the
Seven-
show ends.
7:01. That's what you should listen to.
2:55
7:01 tonight
20.
after Isaac and Sue.
Ah, screw 'em.
They do just fine.
But you can also watch on 1080 or youtube.com/1080 AM The Fan, as well as twitch.com/1080 AM The Fan, and of course you're listening on terrestrial radio 1080thefan.com or 1080 AM, not .com. It's not on AM.
Did you have a stroke?
I did.
Are
Yeah.
you okay?
No, I'm not. I definitely I had too many /1080 AMs The Fans in there.
Yeah, I got this here channel on YouTube chat. He said Richard Lewis died. We saw that as well.
Yeah.
That sucks, man. Richard Lewis, comedian, actor. I mean, so many things that we remember him from. Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Mhm.
I mean, that's going to be really interesting to see what the tribute is. This being the final season of Curbed, the fact that they've recorded the entire season. But Richard Lewis, also Robin Hood Men in Tights.
Yes.
like
that was my first introduction to him
I mean,
as the sheriff of
Brilliant.
Rottingham.
just brilliant. And dead at 76 years old,
Yeah.
man. Which I mean, that's a good run.
That's a good run.
That's a good run. But I mean,
if
still
I
too
hit 76, that's yeah, I'm thrilled with that.
soon. Yeah.
I think it's above
I think
average now. I think
no way.
I think men is 72.
I mean, that's not the run that we want to have. I think mid to late 80s is a good run for me.
I feel like I'm going to be way too broken at that point in time.
At that point in time,
I
Gonna
said
be?
that's what I'm saying. Hence my point. We're doubling my age. Like I don't
Nah,
know if like
you'll be a cyborg by then.
I mean,
I think you'll
wouldn't
it'll be
against
good.
It.
I know you wouldn't be against it.
Danny the murder bot.
Okay, maybe we need to rethink this.
Maybe 76 is good.
Maybe you need to be what you need to do is you need to be a government experiment where they put the chip in your brain that they can turn it
You're
off.
gonna turn me over to Elon Musk to get Skynetted.
Yeah, that seems not fun.
Nah.
Like everything about the Neuralink,
Yeah.
I don't want that. Like if you think of a song and then it starts playing in your head, no,
That sounds
you
like-
don't know what my brain does.
That sounds like
all
the
day
worst way ever to never sleep again.
long. I have a squirrel brain. Yes, could you imagine that?
Like the one good part of that is you would never not get that song that you're like, what is the name of that song? Because you would have it in your brain because you'd be like linked in, but also like you would go from that to like, oh my God, what about this? What about this? What about this? What about this? 18 hours later, why are my bloodshot eyes still open? Because your brain just would not shut off.
Yeah, it doesn't seem good. It doesn't
It seems like a
good.
form of torture.
I think that's exactly what it is. I'm out. I'm out. I don't want it.
But now I am thinking about the murder bot.
Okay, of course you are. But I want you to stop thinking
No
about
fingerprints.
that because you are going to go way too far and you're going to end up in jail because of this.
I'm just saying, like, I'm not going to leave a trace. Like, I could easily, like, I could have tracks, and then switch out my tire tread. I could put like tire tread on from like an '87 Buick. I could go full cousin, my cousin Vinny. Go positive traction.
This is
Just-
already
just
a bad
leaving like
idea.
false patterns.
This is not good.
There's
This
no
is-
DNA.
This is not good. This is not going to go anywhere.
I'm like-
that finishes happy for anyone.
Well, the downside of this is
Even
like,
you.
I'd probably have like video cameras, so there'd be like recorded evidence.
Okay, you need to just stop thinking about
You know
this.
what I mean?
This
Like,
is
it's
not a
hard,
good.
It's like a hard
choice
drive for a
you.
brain.
This is a bad life choice.
I'd have to like
No,
have
you're out.
certain things wiped.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah.
I'd have to go in and
Are
make
we
sure.
talking again about when you're old and broken?
You're a
Yeah.
serial killer,
Things get
Danny.
wiped.
That's what you. That's the path you've chosen.
I'm picturing like a slightly more murderous J5,
I don't know what that means.
Johnny 5.
J5.
Yeah.
Johnny number 5.
Yeah.
You went short circuit and you
Yeah.
called him J5.
Yeah,
Apparently,
J5.
Danny and Johnny number 5 are tight
Yeah.
J5 is alive.
on a nickname basis.
Johnny number 5. 5 is
J5
alive.
is alive. Come on now.
I am standing here beside myself.
That's the one that doesn't get the
Los locos kick your ass.
Yeah, having a white guy play an Indian dude.
going brown face.
Yeah.
Locos kick your balls into outer space.
That, and I think, I don't remember, that was probably before even C. Thomas Howell doing Soul Man.
Oh. Ooh, that might be right around the same time.
Yeah.
Soul Man might be even earlier.
Really?
Yeah.
But yeah, Short Circuit still gets like the wholesome, like, oh yeah, totally fine. But then you're like, why is that white guy doing a Indian voice in brown face?
Soul Man was 1986.
Ooh,
Short
that's later-
Circuit 86 as well.
Yes.
Ooh.
Oof, later than I thought.
May 9th was Short Circuit release date.
I didn't see the release date here.
If this is gonna be like May of '86 being the most problematic month in movie history,
Let's see here.
Blackface and brown face really
Were they-
popular. May of
were
'86.
they both produced by Harvey Weinstein?
Oh, God.
October 1986.
Oh,
so Short Circuit set
I
the-
got him by 5 months.
All right. Slightly more. So does
more
that make them slightly more or
problematic by
less?
5 months.
Or does that make them less because they were earlier?
No, I think they
Yeah?
got it. They
Okay.
got it. Yeah.
I was
they got it.
going to try and give them a chance.
Yeah. Hey, Neuralink is called. This texture is great. Vancouver Ford text line. It's called Living with ADHD. That's about right. Like just
Yeah, but
sitting
this time
there
it
just
has
going
all the
boom,
answers.
Boom, 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 boom. Yeah, but that doesn't help.
That's
That
what
just
I'm
means
saying.
more questions.
That's exactly what I'm saying. Is it just keeps going? Where sometimes you get lost in your fog
We
of
don't need that.
of like I'm just not going to get the answer.
Yeah.
And you just kind of now all of a sudden you're getting the answers, and now the scroll of questions
I don't want it.
doesn't stop.
No, I don't want it. No, I don't want it. I'm out.
Now, speaking of questions, NFL players up and down the league
Hey-o.
were asked a question about everything about their franchise, good, bad, or otherwise. Turns out, even though you could be a perennial Super Bowl contender, your ownership can actually still be cheap and awful. We'll get to that here coming up on Danny and Dusty, 1080 The Fan.
wonderful thing. The NFLPA's annual survey that is completely anonymous that highlights the highs and lows across the NFL as it pertains to the non-football product, i.e. the head coach, ownership, strength coaches, amenities, travel, how teams take care of their families, all of the ins and outs. And players really don't mince words in the comment sections, and the grades are pretty revealing.
It's not quite that anonymous when you break it out into you either are the highest ranked or the lowest ranked, right? Because that means, like, Andy Reid came into this, he's the number one coach in the NFL. Players, every single player had positive things.
Ride or die
He's
for Andy
A+,
Reid.
number one rated coach in the NFL by his own players. And these are your organization only, not any other organization that you've
It's
played
internal.
for or that you come across. It is all internal. So it is anonymous, and they're not going to gain a whole heck of a lot if you have a lot of like B's or whatever, because that means some guys are up, some guys are down.
Sure.
You're probably doing okay in this. But when you have resounding A's or resounding F's, that's when the alarm signals start
Like-
sounding.
The other side of the coin to Andy Reid's coaching is the Las Vegas Raiders and Josh McDaniels, who was despised, who graded out as a D and the worst coach in the NFL.
That is not a surprise one bit.
Zero
But
upsets there.
then you have a lot of the coaches, some of the coaches that were even fired in this cycle, they didn't get the marks that you would think that they would garner. Because if you look at a guy like Brandon Staley, who we all were like, dude just doesn't get it.
Mhm.
He's not it. Doesn't have control of the team. He looks like he lost the team. What he graded out as a B by his own players. That doesn't seem like a guy that it should have been canned as resounding. But if you also look at it,
Or the Panthers, they gave it A-.
he was, yeah. Well, Frank Reich, and here's the thing. If your organization is dysfunctional and your coach is good,
Calling it disorganized and dysfunctional? They're
of
riding with him.
course, they're going to ride with him, because Frank Reich was just trying to cook with the ingredients he was given by ownership and management. There's only so much you can
He was
do.
cooking. He was asked to make a meal with sponge and cork.
And the bad thing, though, is if you have a first-year head coach who doesn't get an A,
Mhm.
because then it's like that new blood, that fresh face, and new voice, that is a
Not
horrible
resonating.
sign.
Yeah.
So that Frank Reich at least is resonating with his players. What I found, there's things that you can, people are breaking it down every which way, but what I find fascinating is, as a whole, the Kansas City Chiefs organization ranks 31st out of 32 NFL teams by its own players. And Andy Reid is the number
It's a
one
saving
coach.
grace.
They would be unequivocally dead last
Mm-hmm.
if it wasn't for Andy Reid. Andy Reid took first place as the head coach. Their next highest ranking was 18th, and that was treatment of families. They got a D+ by their players, which 18th and getting a D+ tells you how players across the league feel their families are treated by the organizations, including the LA Chargers, which was hilarious. The LA Chargers charge players $75 a pop for child care on game day,
Mhm.
or $75 for your first child, $50 for each additional child.
The other one was on the travel side of things. The
Holy crap.
Buccaneers charge rookies $1,750 for flights,
Flights
or excuse me, for accommodations.
if you want to have your own room,
Yeah.
17, and you have less than 4 years, not even rookies.
Yeah.
If you're in your rookie deal,
Rookie deal.
4 years or less of service, you have to pay $1,700 to have your own room on the road. And that
Multi-billion-dollar company.
this is where we are all surprised about owners trying to fleece cities for new stadiums.
Shouldn't be. They're cheap.
They are in the Patriots and Robert
The
Kraft
Patriots and the
are
Chiefs
notoriously
are
cheap.
both horribly rated.
But Kansas City, they got an F in nutrition, locker room, training staff, and an F- dead last in ownership.
Mm-hmm.
Clark Hunt, who is he's winning Super Bowls. He's
Mhm.
won back-to-back Super Bowls.
And he's pocketing all the money.
But what the players are saying is that they were, first of all, the upgrade that they got this year, because they were an F last year,
Mhm.
was because their locker room, they had stools. They didn't have chairs with backs in their
Yeah.
locker room. They got them chairs with backs this year. They were promised new locker rooms after 2022. They go and they win a Super Bowl, and they come back for the 2023 season. Nothing was done for facility upgrades for the Kansas City Chiefs, which is printing money right
Yes,
now.
literal hundreds of millions into billions of dollars over the last couple of years.
And what they are saying is that the organization outside of that, whether it's the weight room, training staff, strength coaches, outside of Andy Reid and the coaches that are actually getting them ready for game day, players are not happy with the Kansas City Chiefs.
Well, I mean, to be fair to Clark Hunt, he's clearly pouring that money into his wife,
She's a hot. And his daughter also
Miss Kansas.
a hot.
Yes.
But think of that. What a quarterback and a head coach can do for your organization.
They can stave off cheap, wildly inefficient ownership.
Well, because
Also, the same thing can be true for Belichick and Brady.
100%, that's exactly it.
They've countered it.
But you also have the best perceived owners in the NFL. Ziggy Wilf, Minnesota Vikings. Stephen Ross, Miami Dolphins. And then you have Jeffrey Lurie of the Philadelphia Eagles, the Walton Penner family group of the Denver Broncos, and then Steve Biscotti of the Baltimore Ravens, and Green Bay Packers, which is that would be
And
all
the
30
Jags.
all 30,000 people. Yeah, Shad Khan.
Shad Khan. Shad Khan being on there surprised me.
The worst owners, the Bidwell family, which should not be any surprise. That's the Arizona Cardinals ownership, which, I mean, they have lawsuits going against them from employees that aren't players, but former coaches are suing the team. Former office employees in administrative employees are suing the Bidwell family. But the other two worst owners, number one, Clark Hunt of the Kansas City Chiefs. Number three was the Rooney family.
Yeah.
The Pittsburgh Steelers, which that has not always been the message. The Rooney family has always been a stabilizing force for that organization. They've made savvy moves, but this goes back to you're just cheap. And guess which families have owned teams
The longest.
for a really damn long time?
Yeah.
The Hunt
the
family,
Bidwells, the Hunts,
Bidwells,
Yeah.
and the Rooneys.
Yeah, I mean, that's really what this is. Go look at this, and it's all new ownership. The Broncos, new ownership. The Jaguars, new ownership. The Vikings, new ownership. The Dolphins, newer ownership. Like they haven't they haven't been there for 50, 60, 80 multiple generations through the team. I mean, even the Falcons. I mean, Blank sold off. He's not the sole proprietor anymore. He's got an ownership group now. You just kind of go down the list, and that's kind of the surprising one in here is the Benson family with the Saints. They got a B plus. They
spend money.
They do. But that's the counter to this is that they spend money there and they don't do it on the other team they own, the Pelicans.
And here's like the top two teams in overall in all 11 categories that were graded in the feedback that they got from the players was the Miami Dolphins were number one because they have state-of-the-art facilities now. Stephen Ross, and make no mistake, look, Stephen Ross is paying everybody on that roster. So, of course, they're happy. Right? Like, they're going to be cutting a lot of guys, but they took this survey before all of these cap casualties are happening.
But also the flip side of this is the team travel, the strength coaches, the weight room, the
They're
training staff,
putting
the training
money
room.
into it.
It's all A's.
That's exactly what the Minnesota Vikings are doing as well. But there is that disconnect with Miami where do you trust him in the big one? Does Minnesota have the quarterback that can take him? Because the players love Kevin O'Connell. He was like ranked the second best coach in the NFL by his own players. But you look at the top is you go, those are surprises. Miami and Minnesota being the best run organizations.
I just thought about this.
1 and 2.
The idea of those teams are too pampered.
They're soft.
They're soft. That's why the Chiefs and the Patriots are winning. Their
doesn't-
cheapness is inspiring.
It doesn't explain
Makes you have to
the
fight and claw for it.
Los Angeles Chargers
Oh, yeah.
because they're near the bottom. And the thing is, you have surprises at the top. The bottom ones, except for the Kansas City Chiefs, don't make sense. The 30th best organization, according to the NFLPA's player survey, is the LA Chargers.
Which
But
family makes sense.
But here's where it makes sense: is that their treatment of families, which they've always been horrible with that, in charging $75 for childcare, that would be one. But their food and cafeteria was terrible. Their locker room was graded down. Their facilities and their weight room they're still in a temporary training
yeah.
facility. So what's happening is they're going to be opening up all of the things that they were graded down on.
Mhm.
They're opening up a new facility that will have a permanent cafeteria, new permanent weight room, brand new locker room, and all of those day-to-day things.
But
Those
right
are
now it
going to be
sucks.
changing, but right now it does suck. So there's you can explain that one away.
Mhm.
The Washington Commanders, all of those things that I just mentioned
Mhm.
about the Chargers, that's what the Commanders' gripes are. They just got new ownership, where their ownership just jumped from an F to a B
Mhm.
with Josh Harris. He's trying to find a new stadium, find a new permanent training facility.
Which means you end up building up all of their
Build all
amenities
those
alongside
things.
it.
The team that just doesn't make sense in any of it is 31st, and that is the Kansas City Chiefs. They do the 31 out of 32, and they have zero excuses,
Cheap,
and
cheap,
there's
cheap, cheap, cheap,
zero
cheap, cheap, cheap,
explanation
cheap,
for it, and that doesn't it just
Oh,
doesn't
there's-
compute.
There's an explanation.
It doesn't
Cheap.
compute because of the fact that why would you not pour money into your business that is printing money right now
Mhm.
for you and make it a better product? Because right now they just gave L'Jarius Sneed the green light to go and explore trade options, because they said yesterday they're going to franchise tag him or let him go find a trade partner
Mhm.
for this next year. Well, he's gotten the green light to go and find a trade partner if he wants to go. So, and doesn't want to play on the franchise tag, which means that decision between Chris Jones and L'Jarius Sneed,
It's been made.
it's been made, and it's Chris Jones.
Mhm.
There's a chink in the armor right there of the Kansas City Chiefs. And if you have all of the facilities, you have the great quarterback, you have the great head coach, that keeps guys coming back, and that keeps
It can be the stabilizing
dynasty.
force against everything, all of the stupid.
That's 100% correct.
And that's what great leaders do. Is that it's. I don't like drawing the military line all that often, but like when you've got a good commander, if you've got somebody who will help you in the midst of not just the chaos, but in the midst of the dumb. I mean, in the military, 98% of it is dumb. You're dealing with dumb all the time, and having great leadership that that's the old saying in the Air Force is you get it when your rank goes up, you eventually get to the point where your chevrons are turned upside down, and those are the S deflectors, and you have the ability to take that on for your guys.
All right, Jody Allen, Seattle Seahawks.
C+.
C+, 23rd. She receives a rating of 7.9 out of 10 from Seahawks players when considering her willingness to invest in the facilities. 23rd overall. Pete Carroll got an A. They fired him.
Yeah. Oops.
Yeah. The overall ranking for the Seahawks, 14th. Not too shabby.
Yeah.
Middle of the league right there. Exactly how they played this year.
Yeah. And that's, honestly, I think that's what you kind of want. Is you want, if you're investing in the team, you want them to do well.
Yeah. Their highest marks were in their food and cafeteria, the nutritionist and dietitian, and their locker room.
So taking care of players.
Taking care of the players in that regard. Their lowest ratings were in training staff. That seems to be a common thread. Training room and ownership. Were their three, and they were 27th, 23rd, and 23rd.
That's surprising. I would have figured that the staff would have matched the facilities. The biggest complaint across every single team was the lack of training staff available for one-on-one work. That was the one common thread. And I'm sure it's the NFLPA saying, spend more money there.
Yeah, they said, and that was the lowest grade for the Seahawks was not enough quality trainers, limiting players' ability for one-on-one treatment or injury recovery and prevention.
All right, so there you go. That's your NFLPA report summary. Coming up next, Caleb Williams open to going to the Bears. But first, here's the Big Kahuna Sports Center update.
I hear they got some tasty burgers.
Now, from the Fan Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
This update brought to you by Vulcan Design and Construction. Check out their award-winning outdoor living designs or schedule your free design consultation at vulcandc.com. First on the Fan, the Trailblazers hit the road for a 3-game trip starting Friday in Memphis against the Grizzlies. Portland has lost 9 straight and went 0 for February. Rose Garden reports Sean Hyken reporting further testing on DeAndre Ayton determined he suffered a right hand sprain last night against the Heat. He is now considered day-to-day. In the NFL, ESPN's Jeremy Fowler reporting the Chiefs releasing wide receiver Marcus Valdez-Scantling, saving $12 million against the salary cap. In other Chiefs news, they've given cornerback L'Jarius Sneed permission to seek a trade. The team also may elect to use the franchise tag ahead of Tuesday's deadline and trade him after that. Jets GM Joe Douglas says the team has given quarterback Zach Wilson permission to seek a trade. And a final regular season Pac-12 men's basketball meeting tonight for Oregon and Oregon State. Coverage here on The Fan starts at 7:30, tip at 8 o'clock on FS1. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Jeff Rust at the Fan Sports Desk. Listen live or on demand on the Odyssey app, the Fan's desktop player, or tell your smart speaker to play 1080 The Fan.
One number does it all for contests and texting your favorite fan shows. The Vancouver Ford text line is 503-864-6FAN.
There may not be a bigger story in the NFL draft than Caleb Williams right now. The will he, won't he go to Chicago? What is the mystery surrounding Caleb Williams? Not just will he, won't he go to Chicago, but just this vacuum that has created around Williams this past year at USC that was really filled by his father, who's been his business manager since he was a young teenager.
There's some really interesting dynamics at play here. We know that his dad, Carl, who is a wealth manager in the DC area,
who's been essentially doing this.
He's cultivated everything about Caleb Williams' career, image, marketing, personal coaching since he was 10 years old. He set out a plan when he was 10 years old for Caleb Williams to fulfill what he's doing right now. And to the credit of Carl and Caleb Williams,
It's worked.
he's going to be the number one pick. He was a Heisman Trophy winner. He absolutely, everything they've done at every turn has worked to this point. But remember last summer, there was that GQ article where Carl was quoted as saying something along the lines of, I've been doing this since he was 12 or 10 years old. And now I'm just going to give up. I'm supposed to give up and just let the NFL run it now, and was railing on the draft process. That is helicopter parent red flag
Yes.
city right there.
It's not Todd Marinovich beating the hell out of his kid type
No.
stuff, but the business control, and it's not wanting to take the money for himself.
So
It's just having control of Caleb's business.
that article put a sour taste in a lot of people's mouths, because that was where the whole, he could always come back for another year at USC.
That's where
if
it came from.
If the team didn't want to draft him. That wasn't from Caleb's mouth.
No.
That was from his father's mouth.
Mhm.
And this is where we have two stories that are kind of conflicting everything that his dad has said, and they come from Caleb Williams himself. The Athletic has a piece up right now where they go into detail about how scouts have said that when they went and visited USC and they brought up the comments from the GQ article, like immediately after they happened, Caleb Williams seemed surprised and genuinely surprised, and said, "Why would I say that? Who would say that?" And they were like, "Well, your dad."
Oh,
And he was like, "Oh." There's an ESPN article up right now that was talking to Caleb Williams, said, "If I get drafted by the Bears, I'll be excited. If they trade the pick and I get drafted by someone else, I'll be just as excited." Speaking about Chicago, they have a talented team, talented offense and defense. For anyone to be in that situation, I think they'd be excited. Caleb Williams has always
good PR speak.
said the right things almost at every turn, but it kind of seems like all of the smoke surrounding him is coming from his dad.
yes.
And that is the problematic thing when you think of, okay, how far is this going to go when he gets drafted? Because you could sit there and say, oh, he'd go to Chicago. What a dysfunctional place. Like Washington is going to be better for him.
The hope there being, of course, new ownership.
Like New England with Gerard Mayo, who's a defensive-minded first-year head coach, and a brand-new first-year general manager who's in place, who
And an organization that, while stable,
notoriously cheap.
yes.
Notoriously cheap.
And the NFLPA chart that we just went through, the Patriots were one of the worst.
And this is where you just go, what is their play going to be? Because are they going to try to like strong arm to get drafted by Dallas? That's not going to work.
No.
And if they did do that, they'd have to trade every single pick that they own in perpetuity
Yes.
in order to get him, and then they'd suck. Like,
Would they be better with him over Dak?
is that the route that they want to go? And this is where it's like, if Caleb Williams were just to be himself, I don't think there would be controversy
No, I
about
don't
the
think so
number one
either.
pick. He would be the slam dunk. And it's not being started by him. It's by the guy who's been cultivating this image in this life since he was 10 years old and living vicariously through him.
And this thing, through the descriptions in the Athletic piece, it sounds like he's done what's best for Caleb.
Oh yeah, he's hired the best coaches, made sure he was in the best schools and in the best programs every step of the way.
It has not been the helicopter parenting in the sense of the little league dad who's strangling the umpire.
Well, and that's why I said, like, to their credit, they've been successful in
Yes.
everything that they've
and
done.
that's the thing is that's where I think this is a little bit different. But also, this image and these thoughts and these ideas are penetrating front offices, and you have not just coaches but general managers and owners who are going, "What are we getting into with him?"
Yeah.
Because everything that Caleb does is packaged, and if you read through the Athletic piece, they try to get other people on record, and they get people on record who are wanting to remain anonymous because they're with teams and they haven't been given the
Oh, yeah, they
okay to-
can't.
yeah, but they've reached out to Carl Williams and Caleb Williams through Carl directly and Caleb through his PR firm, because Caleb has not signed an agent, which I'm always leery of that, because thinking you know better than a power agent, you don't.
with your first contract being slotted, number one pick being slotted.
Mhm. But there's still,
I mean,
there
you
are
have
certain
time
things
to
that,
work through it and work it out.
and have a legal representative. But I always worry about that stuff because that's why those guys get the 7%, because they do things that you
Oh, for
don't
sure.
know how to do. Even if you're a very successful wealth fund manager, like they are different worlds. So I raise an eyebrow at that stuff.
Yeah.
Because and GMs do too. Like, oh, you think you know how to do this better? Like, this is a different world, dude. You don't know football better. You don't know how this works better. This is what we do. And I think that's where a lot of the disconnect is coming from. Is this Caleb doing this, or is it just his dad? Because if Caleb thinks he knows better, that's a problem. You know what I mean? Like that's not being open to being coached. That's not open to, going somewhere, and not being open to being developed. Then you start having all those problematic check marks as
Well,
you start going down the board.
again,
And I don't think that he's that guy.
And I honestly think one of the biggest red flags that we've seen is not been the GQ article or the Bears thing that was kind of floated out there. It was the Bears comment that Colin Cowherd had,
Mhm.
because we all know where Colin got it from. It was
from Carl.
It was from Carl, and he called it Caleb's camp.
Yeah.
Did not want to go to Chicago, and then immediately had to backtrack it because he said, I had talked to people in Caleb Williams' camp who said he did not want to go and play for the Chicago Bears. And then immediately the next day was like, uh-oh. Because the NFL ain't going to play nice.
They don't like that.
They do not like that.
They don't want the Eli Manning, and they don't want one of their oldest families in one of their biggest cities. Look, it's one thing to do it to San Diego.
And I think one of the things
Can't do it to Chicago.
that is going to be the question that starts popping up, and it's completely unfair to Caleb Williams because he has never alluded to anything else, but this is where the conversation will go. Who cares more about Caleb Williams' NFL future, Caleb or his father?
Yeah.
And that's completely unfair to Caleb Williams. That will be a
It's being
narrative being absolutely hammered over the next 2 months.
So it'll be an interesting discussion, especially with Caleb Williams showing up at the combine today and doing interviews with teams and what those interviews get leaked out as. Yeah. Well, I'm sure we'll get more on that tomorrow. All right, coming up next, we'll put a nice little bow on today's show before we hand you off to Isaac and Sue. Come up here next on Danny and Dusty, 1080 The Fan.
Well, it was on this date in 1989, 35 years ago, the television show Coach debuted.
Yes.
Yeah.
Ran 200 episodes over 9 seasons, the last episode airing May 14th, 1997.
Look at that. The last couple seasons were really bad. The Orlando Breakers.
I didn't remember them
Not
adopting
good.
a kid.
Yes,
They
that
had to
happened.
spice it up a little bit.
Yeah.
That happened. But they had so many memorable episodes and great storylines about just having, first of all, 3 coaches on a college football team is wild. You had Hayden Fox, Luther Van Dam, and Dauber. And it was like that's all they had. And they also had like 9 players on their team, which was fantastic.
Offense, defense, special teams.
But
That's
the
what it
Minnesota
is.
State Screaming Eagles, they were electric, and we all knew it. Howard was a putz. That guy was a damn idiot running the university and the athletic department. But you know what? You respected Howard.
It was a precursor to the Pac-12.
Yeah, it really was. It really was. I love that show so much.
Why don't we have any more shows rooted in sports?
I don't know. That's a great question. Like
There's
this is
no
the thing.
Ted Lasso was an absolute banger, and yet
It was phenomenal.
why? I'm asking for more copies, Hollywood.
But sports are the only program that people watch. People obviously love sports. Give me more sitcoms that are sports related. Hell, even Dan Connor, formerly playing for the Bears in Roseanne.
Yes,
You know, just give me something
forgot about
tangential.
that.
Give me some
You
Blue
know,
Mountain State, man.
You can, yeah, that was a show that I watched a couple episodes of.
Yeah.
Friday Night Lights, smashing success.
Tremendous stuff.
4 touchdowns, 1 game.
Al friggin' Bundy, who you have a Polk High 33 jersey that you wear.
I remember standing in line at a concession stand at a Hops game, and the guy behind the bar, he goes, "Hey, Al Bundy, what can I get you?"
I love
like
it.
it.
But give me more sports shows. I'm all for it.
Yes.
And that show was brilliant. They talked about rebooting it a handful of years ago, and it would have worked
With
10
Craig
times out of
Nelson?
10.
Speaking of reboots, they're redoing The Naked Gun.